I'm live and I'm not ready. Twitter. Yes. Wait a second. I think I made the space from my Twitter. I think I made the space from my. No, not true. Bear with me, guys. Please, I gotta find this on my profile. There we go. Spaces, join. Oh, there's a lot of people in here. Good evening.
What's up, Banana?
Another wonderful day in crypto. That's what's up. A good day in crypto.
Yeah, there's been a lot of stuff going on since last Spaces.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Hey, I was gonna see if I don't know if you do it normally, but if you can start putting the link to your YouTube in our Telegram also.
That's a good idea.
Because I feel like a lot of people like just typing the comments, and if they're more of a typer, I'd rather them go to your YouTube and watch and get the visual, or not a typer. If they're just someone who doesn't like to speak, it's probably better that they go to your YouTube and just watch the visuals instead of sitting in here, because it's the same thing. And then they can also add to the conversation in your comments, where here it's a little more difficult. I don't even think we ever even read the comments in here.
I don't even know where the comments are, if there are any.
Yeah, there's a box somewhere.
Okay. Well, I dropped it into the Telegram, guys. If you want to jump on YouTube, I will make a habit of doing that. You might need to remind me, but I will try to be a big boy and not need to be reminded.
No, I think I'll think of it now.
Okay.
Now that I thought of that idea when I was posting the one in there today, I was just like, you know what? A lot of people don't like to come up and talk, and I always guide them to the spaces. I should be just guiding them to Banana's YouTube so they can see the visuals, and also they could write in the comments their questions, or, you know, a lot of people don't like to come up and speak.
Yeah. That would be me. That would be me. And I'm not even kidding. I am not that person that will just jump up and speak publicly. Wow. Let's see. pTGC, I haven't really gazed at it since this morning, but it's at it's up 36% for the day. That's pretty awesome. Well, Pulse came up too. Pulse is up, 13%. So it's really no wonder. I was looking through the Telegram earlier this evening, right before supper. I couldn't believe all the buy bot messages. I was like, what in the world, man? The volume was 1.7 million. I mean, I saw a $29,000 buy, a $40,000 buy, and I want to say like a $43,000 buy. In addition to all the, 1,500, 4,000, like this ecosystem is going crazy. It's really refreshing. I think I posted in the Telegram screenshot of a snapshot of, like back in July when our average volume was like maybe 10,000 in a day. And now we have suddenly 1.7 million today. And I think we've had multiple back-to-back $1 million volume days in pTGC. I'm about to look.
Yeah. The gray whale accumulated a little bit more pTGC today, which was awesome. He pretty much, right when it was close to the bottom, I'm pretty sure he bought the dip and kind of reversed the ecosystem, and I think reminded people, hey, do you remember what this machine is? And then right after the gray whale bought, I saw another decent sized person. They didn't hold any pTGC, but they had a decent amount of value in their wallets, and they bought like over 100K. And then later in the day, another user bought like 100 to 200,000 more as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, I think not only the gray whale was lurking, but some other whales were lurking too in the waters, and they bought the dip, that's for sure.
Our volume is $1.9 million right now.
Yeah, so this was the other thing I was going to add. So why our volume is kicking so hard right now is because right now, in particular, you have half of our liquidity tokens going down and the other half going up. Oh. And what I'm talking about is all the RH tickers are currently moving up, and all the PDI, P-Wrap Bitcoin, Atropa, Teddy Bear, those ones are moving down. So what happens when they're moving against each other, it turns the arbitrage bots on like overdrive.
Oh, okay.
This is where we make the most value, when the market's kind of moving against each other in volatile ways. So amazing for our ecosystem to generate the value off of the market just doing market things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when things we're heavily paired with are moving in opposite directions, this is like best case scenario for our ecosystem. As long as the things that we have are sustainable, you know what I mean? Like, this is saying that, like, if PDI and Atropa eventually come back to these levels, and they're just kind of people transferring value here, transferring value there, just trying to make up their mind where they want to go. As long as the sustainability is there, the narrative stays strong with PDI, this is best case scenario. People are shifting the two markets against each other, the RH market and the forked copy market, and it's causing our system to be pushed into overdrive, pretty much having market makers go crazy because there's price differences between pTGC and UFO in all these pairs, and this is what they're looking for, and this is what ultimately enhances our system.
That's brilliant. I had never even thought about it like that.
Well, because usually the market all moves together, right? Like Pulse will move up, and then it drags everything up. So it really takes like a lot more to shift that threshold against each other. But when there's like that direct, like half's going down and half's going up, and decent amounts, it really turns on the system, right? Like, and then you have to remember, like, this is like the crazy part too, is both these assets, the forked over copy assets, are pretty low right now, and all the RH tickers are really low right now. So our liquidity is still really, really low due to everything we're paired to being super low. So imagine when these things happen in the future, when, let's say, our liquidity is revalued like 10x here. Well, then our bots will have to move 10 times the amount of money to fix these same type of scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
And that's obviously the plan. And this is just a little glimpse of how the plan works at lower liquidity levels. But as we get these liquidity levels higher, due to our performance being better, due to the whole PulseChain ecosystem rising, due to LP ads, just there's multiple ways we can get the liquidity up. But as our liquidity grows, the system becomes even stronger in events like this too.
Yeah. I made an observation today, and you probably already knew this, but I want you to be honest, Zan. I want you to be honest. If you didn't realize this, I want you to be honest and tell me, because I'd love to discover something in this ecosystem that you didn't know about. So, you ready? Are you ready?
Oh yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
Sorry,
that's all right. Okay, so what okay, what has been designed here is an opportunity to make, for people to make yield, whether there is volume on the network or not. And the way that users can do that is by locking pTGC. So if a user has locked pTGC and there is no, technically, like almost zero volume on the network in a 24-hour period, yet another user unlocks their pTGC and pays the penalty, if they unlock early, they will reward all the other lockers. And even though there's no volume on the network, the lockers will still earn yield.
If that guy is unlocking, though, he's most likely selling, and that would pay a little bit, but yeah.
So what I figured out today is like, okay, if the price goes up on this asset, the per token price goes up, which we are seeing and we expect it to, we anticipate, have perhaps reasonable expectations that it will continue to increase. Then as we go into the bear cycle, the bear market, although volume will decrease, there will still be probably emergency end locks paying the other lockers. And as long as the value of the token stays, high relative to whatever it is that you need to be juicy for you for an unlock penalty reward, then effectively, you're offsetting that lack of volume.
100%. I agree with you.
So it's like a machine that can pay you two different ways.
Yeah, definitely. I like also the fact is if you are a locker and you're a very long-term person, if you're a long-term person, obviously you're someone who's interested in the API or APY aspect of the system. And it's just nice that there's another form of APY coming to you. And maybe it's not like the juiciest, it's not as big as holding, it's not as big as staking, but it's actually been pretty high up there. And I've always said this, it's actually been higher than I expected it to be when I created that system. I didn't think as many people would early unlock as that actually do early unlock.
Yes. I used to look at the locking tokens as just kind of a whatever, I was like, oh, that's nice. I locked some tokens. I was like, well, we'll see how this turns out. You've heard me in the last few weeks. I've become a complete nut about locking tokens. Just the power of that aspect of the ecosystem of the system in respect to price. I mean, there has to be that volume, that value, the value of the tokens increasing for it to actually be impactful. But because we're seeing that, I think is why I'm becoming more bullish on locking.
Yeah, I think also a lot of people don't realize that I think there's more rewards that come from people sending and stuff like that as well. And that's not really volume on the ecosystem, but just people kind of moving things around, LPing, etc. Like even you're someone who said that at one point you needed to move some tokens and you just had to eat the 5%.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it's the best thing, right? Like but the interesting thing about it is there is a portion of that goes to the long-term people who believe in the system, because a lot of the people who are moving the tokens around are sometimes more shorter-term people. And then on top of that, it buys and burns the token supply because they bought it. And then when they send it, a portion of that is obviously going to the burn address, and then it's going to LP. So it's constantly strengthening the system. Even when people add LP, right? Like we've seen a lot of people add LP with pTGC here recently just because it's made sense, because the price appreciates and you want to pair with things with price that appreciates. RH actually just made a huge tweet about this. Why would you pair with a stable coin if you could pair with something that appreciates in price? Well, pTGC kind of falls under this category and has been, I would say to date, the most sustainable growth system out of all of PulseChain, has consistently gone up the most probably out of everything. So pairing with pTGC has ultimately probably been the most successful thing. So people have done it, and then obviously when they do it, they have to buy it, and then they LP it, which is another fee. And then when they close the LP, if they ever close it, there's another fee. And then also if any market making or volume flows through those other people's pools, it obviously pays our system as well.
Yep. I had a conversation with somebody today, and he was explaining how if you did, for example, need to move some UFO or pTGC from one wallet to another and eat the fee, you know, like so many of us, you get in, you get your tokens, they're all excited, and then you realize, oh, they're on the wrong wallet or whatever. Now I got to move them. Oh, now I'm paying the fee. Well, I was explaining to somebody a couple weeks ago that, you know, you're going to get that fee back in token appreciation. And this gentleman that I was talking to today, he made the point that, you know, in crypto, you know, we're looking at appreciation, not in terms so much of percent, but in X's. And sure, if you needed to move pTGC from one wallet to another, you're going to need 5%. But what is a 2x to you? Well, that's 95% more than 5%, or 195%, however that works. But the point is that even if we needed to nuke a little bit to get our assets onto a safe wallet, that we can get that back very quickly with X's.
Yeah, I agree. And also, what your tokens aren't good to you in someone else's hands if your wallet gets hacked, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're better off having 95% of your tokens in a safe place than 100% of your tokens in an unsafe place.
Yes. Yep. I think that people are starting to, or some people, because I'm having these conversations with people lately about, you know, their security. And I think people are starting to get their assets secured, you know?
Yeah, no, I think it's good. It's not only good for you, but it's good for the whole ecosystem, because we don't want to see any of our community members, for one, getting hacked for two reasons. One, because if you're in our community, we want you to win. And for two, if your tokens fall into a scammer's hands, they're most likely going to dump them on the chart.
That's right.
And obviously we don't want that either. So
yes, exactly. Polygon asks, where would you see these unlock penalty rewards? Polygon, you'll see them in your wallet. When you connect your wallet to PulseTGC.com, you'll see them in your wallet, and you'll just have to claim them, and then they actually go from the contract to your wallet when you claim them.
Yeah, and just so you know, you have to be a locker to be participating in this side of pTGC.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just a holder or just a staker, you actually will never see any of these rewards. These rewards are only for other lockers. And Banana, if you want, you can show him on the website if you want to share your screen on your YouTube and point him in that direction.
Let's do that. I'm happy to do that. I'll tell you a funny story. I'll tell on myself. I did an AMA yesterday. It was 90 minutes, and I didn't even get into the DApp. It wasn't in my notes. It was on my mind at one time, and I completely skipped over it. What? didn't even cover the DApp. So guys, if you missed that yesterday, jump on Wednesday. I put it in my notes this time. Okay, so let's go to the DApp right now. So PulseTGC.com. I'm going to remove this comment here so we can see the whole screen. And then you connect your wallet up here in the upper right. Click on staking. And I should connect. I should connect the wallet. Give me a second. Connect my Ravi wallet here. And then after you click on staking, you'll scroll down and you will see your locked pTGC. If you have locked pTGC, you'll see it right here. And there's the quantity. And down here is where you'll see any reward. See it under that reward column. There's your pTGC rewards right there. And then you can claim them. And when you claim them, they go to your wallet. That's about that.
Sweet. Thank you, Banana. Yeah, that's why I kind of wanted to push people towards your YouTube in the Telegram, just because I feel like a lot of people do have little questions like that just don't come up and ask them. So if they could just throw them into the comments on their YouTube, as we go through these spaces, we'll just, as they pop up on your comments, we'll just answer them real quick.
Yeah.
And obviously they get the visual side as well if they're watching on your YouTube, which is, I think, very helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So, do you want to talk to us about the new pairing that we had either last night or this morning?
That's what I was just about to ask. I don't know if I missed it or not, but I would like to hear about that new pairing, how that's working out, and what made you choose that token, and maybe if there's any other new tokens from the pump tires that you guys are looking at.
Yeah, 100%. So right when pump tires came out, I was kind of looking at it and seeing, there's a lot of them, and wanting to see which one was going to be the best for our pairing. And right off the bat, RH made a tweet and it showed Trump and Pump dot tires, those two tokens in his tweet. And it was kind of looking like those might be the best. And then the community and I think RH kind of really showed some attention towards the most token for multiple reasons. Like the developer wallet owns 80% of the supply, which is pretty RH style. Another part of it is it had the most volume flowing through it. It had the most holders flowing through it. It looked like it had the most community members on board already. And at the point that I was really looking at it, RH made one tweet about it. And then obviously I was talking about this with other large community members of the pTGC ecosystem as well, and kind of brainstorming what would be a good pairing for us. And why I'm kind of always looking for other pairings, and it's not like looking for pairings like we want to find a new pairing every week, right? We don't need to find a new pairing every week. But what we want to be paying attention to is, and Banana gave the best analogy ever, I love it, is he says, with the DAO, we are not a train on tracks. Every other token out there is a train on tracks. But since we have our DAO, we're actually more like a boat on an ocean. We can turn and go backwards, forwards, sideways, and we can kind of go with where the ocean's pushing us or where we need to go to get to our destination. We don't have to go straight the entire time. So obviously this was a huge shift in PulseChain. Like it was a complete curveball, and we're kind of watching the curveball like, okay, well, we want to show that we can adapt to anything thrown at us and we could actually use it to our advantage. And we kind of had some deliberation, and then RH made a second tweet about most token, and it kind of seemed obvious at that point. There was a few items that were lining up that was kind of saying like, if any of these are going to have sustainability and longevity to them, because that was my main worry, is obviously it's like a token factory. So most of those are going to just die, right? They're just going to come out and die. But it seemed like that one had the most sustainability to it. So I think it was good for our protocol to be adaptive to what was happening around us and use it to our advantage. And now all of our holders of pTGC don't actually have to go chase those kind of things or go after those kind of things if they want to. What would it be?
Have exposure.
Exposure, yeah. Now, by just still holding your pTGC token, now you actually have exposure to this token that might be the RH meme coin or meme token, kinda, right? Like, who knows, right? But it's got a community behind it now. It's got volume flowing through it. And we didn't burn the liquidity because I think we're going to watch it for a little bit. If he starts like putting out like a ton of tweets of other tickers that are coming out of there, well, then it kind of shows like, okay, this one might not be special to him or might not be the one that he wants to use to onboard to PulseChain. He was just talking about it because it was up. So that would kind of be a red flag to me. But as long as he doesn't do that and this one kind of stays the one that he kind of tweeted about, I think it's good for us to at least get a little pairing with it, because now our holders actually get to be exposed to it. And they're not only exposed to it by buying it, they're exposed to it and we're generating value off of it. And that's really important to kind of know the difference of, is our system is generating value off of it. And you're still able to hold your hyper deflationary token that pays you APY for just holding. So you're kind of getting the best of both worlds. You're being exposed to these things out in the market that are fresh new ideas as the crypto space changes constantly. Like the crypto space is changing. Well, we actually have a DAO to take action on the changes. And now our holders are able to generate value off of this while holding a fully deflationary asset and earning APY just for holding it. And, you know, that was kind of the thought process behind it.
Yeah, and just to add to that real quick, I'm looking at the pairing right now, and it looks like there's already $61,000 in value in the 12 hours since it was created. So obviously, that adds a lot of value to pTGC token holders. And like you were just saying about the exposure, you know, when pump tires first came out, I almost called it pump fun. I was deciding, hey, was Richard Hart hacked? Is this real? What are we doing? Should I click on the link? And then I was like, all right, where am I going to get some liquidity and play this game? But then you guys came out and announced this pairing, and maybe looking at other pairings. It's like, you know what? I can just own PTGC and still get exposure to that market sector. I don't have to worry about the 99% of those tokens that will go to zero, because 99% of those guys will go to zero. I played the pump. That's the nature of the beast. You're in those for 2x's. Be careful, but have fun if you want to. And I even replied to Ian as well, saying he started talking about this, and I'm like, yeah, this is how you maintain exposure to all the excitement. You don't have to fully be a degen, and pTGC now is just even a bigger index on the entire PulseChain ecosystem. And this pairing has already paid out, you know, dividends, because they had 61,000 in volume in the past 12 hours. So, you know, we'll see what happens with most. Hopefully it continues to be a big winner, because there's already, you know, 100K liquidity pool there, even at these valuations. So props to you for choosing that one. And I'll be interested to see if any other ideas come from this new thing that's just come to PulseChain.
Yeah, and another thing to kind of think about is, so that 60K that we've gotten in the last 12 hours, so if that pair never existed, you wouldn't have had that 60K. So then most likely that 60K had to come from another liquidity pair from fixing, because that's majority market maker bots interacting with that pair. So it's actually like $120,000 of volume that happened due to that pair. And because you have to have the buy and you have to have the sell. The market maker can't move one direction. It has to move both. So then if you think of it going both directions, that pair probably generated $6,000 in revenue in just one day on its own. And that's pretty much a fifth of what we spent on it. So within one day, we already made back a fifth of what we spent on it with our value generating system.
Wow.
And that's the power of having the value generating system, is we're not just connecting to these things to get tugged up and down with them. Like, a standard token, when you pair with something, it's kind of just moving you up and down. We actually generate value off of them. And then we use that value to enhance our system. We're buying and burning our token. We're paying out APY with this. We are filling our DAO with more funds to not only make more interactive decisions like this, but also just buy and burn our token more and add more LP with our token with the blue chips that we know have sustainability. But yeah, I just don't think scenarios like that are going to come up too often, where RH is tweeting 3 times about a meme coin of his face. And even though it is kind of a gamble, I think it's an okay gamble due to the fact, if you look at just today, we've generated more value in the DAO than we even spent on that pairing.
Yeah, and there's not a ton of downside risk because in terms of total liquidity, that is compared to the entire pTGC ecosystem, it's very small. And even like you said, if that token just floundered and went to zero, you'll probably make back the entire investment just from volume generated on the way down as well. So also with Richard talking about it and based on looking at the data and the wallets and stuff, it looks like there's higher probability than not that is kind of a quote unquote insider's token decision to make that. And none of those early wallets have sold a token yet, too, which is a good sign considering it went from virtually zero to $30 million market cap.
Yeah, and if it works out, now we have another leg to our web, not only as like an index fund to help us get dragged up to even more X's if that token does perform well, but also another leg of the index that we will generate value off of and continue to pay APY and buy and burn our supply with that volatility and volume. So
I guess before we change the topic, the other one I was looking at was Pump. And at first glance, when Richard tweeted about it, I thought maybe it was a token that was affiliated or tied to the utility from the Pump.Tires. Under further due diligence, it doesn't look like it's directly getting any benefit from the Pump.Tires ecosystem. Have you seen anything with that one at all? As far as
that was the same question I was asking myself about that one, is if there was some reason for it to exist, that obviously would have been like a go-to, but I couldn't find a reason for it to exist. It was kind of just strapped onto it. And it felt like because it also has a large ownership by that dev wallet, which I like. But Richard wasn't like shilling that one. So it was really just as simple as that. That kind of forced the decision in one way or the other.
Yeah, because if, for you guys who don't know, like Pump.Fun on Solana, maybe some of you guys don't play on Solana, creates immense fees, which locks up immense amounts of Solana, buys back immense amounts of Solana. And, if Pump, for some reason, a benevolent dev, was getting in taking some of the fees and buying into its own token or something like that, if I saw some kind of utility like that, that would have been a no-brainer. And that's kind of what I was hoping for when I first saw it at a glance. But so far, I've not seen that yet. I guess we'll continue to watch the wallets, continue to watch the blockchain, and see if anything like that happens in the future.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was looking for, and I didn't see it either, and that's kind of why we didn't go in that direction. But the one thing I kind of love about this experiment it's not really an experiment, but the thing that RH does is he kind of did this with PulseX as well. Like he took something that already existed and then just made it more benevolent for the user. So like PulseX, for example, how it buys and burns itself. If you zoom out and kind of think about what that could equal in the long term, and you look at like Uniswap, if Uniswap did that, or PancakeSwap, if PancakeSwap did it, it would be very, very beneficial for the price of these assets. And he kind of looked at, Pump.Fun and was like, wow, look at these Pump.Fun founders are making tons and tons of money. But he noticed some flaws. The flaws he thought was, one, I believe all those pairs were getting, and you can answer this, I don't study Sol that much, but when you create a Pump.Fun token, does it pair with like the stable coin on Sol, like Sol's USDC, or is it pairing with Sol?
There's an optionality.
Okay. So I don't think RHs gives you the optionality, so it's forcing buy pressure on Pulse. Anytime someone builds a pump.fun JPEG token, fail or not, it could launch and just crash to zero. This is majority, 99% of them just die within a couple days, right? But they're having to purchase the Pulse to do so, which is obviously good for the Pulse price. And then on top of that, he added the feature where there's like the 1% buy and burn that just is constantly buying and burning Pulse. And then the other thing is all of it gets pushed over to his DEX, and any of the trading fees on there obviously go to buying and burning Pulse X, where none of those features are actually built into the Sol's version of it, which in turn, if you take all that economic energy and you keep buying and burning your supply or buying up Pulse and just getting it stuck in these dead-end liquidity pools, even if it's just, little amounts, it still just gets stuck in there. And then it just obviously just gets trapped in there forever, which then never could be sold again. And I think that's really bullish for the PulseChain price in general, which I'm super stoked about that. Obviously, like what it did the last 2 days is it's for value to go in there. It was all like internal money, sadly. So it sucked it out of like everything that currently existed. But I think the long-term goal is for the value to come in from external sources. So it was kind of like a crack a couple eggs to make an omelet event. But I think overall it's going to be a net positive to the ecosystem. And obviously a net positive to PulseChain and PulseX is a net positive to pTGC and UFO because we just amplify whatever those do. So
yeah, I agree with that. And for some of the people on Twitter or maybe the Core Coin Maxis in here listening to pTGC, it is good to understand that maybe Pump.Tires doesn't really go with the mantra of Richard Hart and what he's taught you over the years and loving these tickers. But it is a good, the way he did it with the benevolent dev, and the fees are all getting recycled back to PLS, and then the quote unquote best of these new tokens get bonded first over to PulseX. Like he said, like there is going to be a lot of activity, both PLS being locked up in liquidity pools and burnt, along with PLSX being burnt, and all the fresh new money that might bridge over into the PulseChain ecosystem to play on and to generate into gambling. So if you're not a DGen, you don't want to play the risk because 99% of those will go to zero, probably 99.9%. Then I think the great option is pTGC. Use it as an index. It has ties to all the blue chips. It has ties to some of the best speculative plays like Teddy Bear and PDI. So you got all that excitement. It's got ties to amplifier tokens, and now it's got ties to one of the best tokens that is tied to Pump.Tires. So really, I think the safest way to play it and to get in on the excitement is pTGC. And I think the chart of pTGC shows enough because pTGC saying what dip? You guys are 7% away from a new all-time high today after what was a catastrophic meltdown yesterday. So I think that tells you this is the winner you should be holding on to. And if you find yourself getting your hand caught in the cookie jar and you're losing over on Pump.Tire, maybe you just need to get pTGC and play the game that way and stake it, lock it, hodl it, and use that passive income to maybe play that game if you really want to do that.
Yeah. Well, I agree 100%. I think this is a lot of people tend to forget that most of the time traders do lose. They do tend to win here or there a couple times, but it's majority a losing game. And that's what I find so nice about pTGC and UFO is the fact that you do have the ability to make a ton of X's. You have the ability to make APY written within code with self-custody, and you're also exposed to other assets. And that asset pool technically can continue to grow. Like it's not locked in. We have the DAO that can actually make decisions when opportunities come up. The truth is the opportunities just don't come up that often, right? Like the amount of times like awesome protocols come out of nowhere, it just doesn't happen, right? And not saying that this Pump.Fun token is like this awesome tokenomic token. It just has some big players behind it. And sometimes you don't swim against the current. If you see a bunch of people swimming in with the current, you kind of just let them drift you along and make value off of it. RH is obviously tweeting about it. Some of the biggest PulseChain people are tweeting about it. They're holding it. It looks like a good ticker to use as a meme coin on PulseChain. we need meme coins on PulseChain to get attention, and our system's designed to generate value off of it. So it seems like it's a good place so far. One thing I do like that, it's not said to be an RH product, but the thing that I enjoy about the product is that all the fees are going back to the ecosystem. And there was a few products that were the same thing as this that just didn't get a lot of traction on chain, which I have nothing against, but I do like the fact that he did come out with a product where it looks like all the value that's being generated is going back to PulseChain. And because ultimately that market was open still for someone to take, and he kind of just shut that down and made it to where no one can really compete against him in that side. Kind of similar to what he did with V2 dexes, right? Like try to create a V2 dex and have it work out. It wouldn't, because PulseChain has all the liquidity, right? V3 dexes obviously was an open market to take advantage of, which people did. But in this case, he saw that there was a huge market for this, and it seems like he kind of took advantage of it and made it to where a user or a dev wasn't making the money, and all the value went back to his holders in the form of pumping Pulse and PulseX.
Are there any Twitter posts that we should review, or is there any news that we should talk about?
I was going to say, before you move on to the next topic, being that we're talking about these tokens, did you see the Mars token and the banner that it has on Dex Screener?
I did see that. You want to hear honestly what I thought?
Yeah, yep.
I just thought someone who is kind of part of this community probably got a good supply of it, and then use some of their own personal money to throw up a banner and kind of advertise a bunch of products on it.
I kind of thought that at first too, but I was like, people don't really do that. Like, yeah, it's possible you could do it. Somebody could do it, but guys are not really doing that, bro. So I don't know. I like to speculate, man. I think aliens run the chain, bro. I think our built on benevolence ways are really showing. And I think we're favored by the upper echelon of PulseChain, bro. Nobody could make me think anything different right now, man.
Yeah, we have to find a Dex Screener insider and see if they can give us who submitted that.
We need the alpha.
Yeah, put your ears to the concrete. See if you hear of anyone saying, "Oh yeah, I grabbed a big bag of that and I wanted to get it populated, obviously for marketing purposes." But let me know.
There's one person that I have to ask. If it's not this person, then yeah, I think my speculation, I'm just gonna run with it.
Yeah. No, I saw it though. I thought it was interesting. I was like, huh. But that was what came to my mind first. I'm like, oh, someone in our community, obviously, or in a lot of communities, there's a lot of assets on that banner. But we kind of all run as a team on PulseChain, and I was just like, oh, someone, liked that token and threw up that banner. But no, I saw it.
Something I noticed interesting on looking to pTGC.com, the amount of locked pTGC has increased by 2 billion in the last maybe 3 weeks. It went from 136 billion to 138 billion in just a few weeks.
So, Banan, do you know what our highest volume day for pTGC is?
I can tell you the highest volume day that I have on record. And
I think we're pretty close to beating it today, if not beating it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
We just passed $2 million in daily volume.
I'm sure that was a record. I take a reading every morning. It could be between 6 a.m. or 10 a.m. somewhere in there. I take a little snapshot and I put all this data that you guys see on the screen. And so it fluctuates. It's not a perfect science. But here's the volume column right here. 4 days ago, we had 1.6 million. And then I'm pretty sure the biggest volume day before that was December 21st, 1.1 million. And right now we're at 2.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, I love using that $10 million number because I feel like it's pretty easily achievable.
Mm-hmm.
Not only just to hit, but I honestly, with a successful PulseChain, I think it's pretty achievable to sustain as well. And days like today, I think should show users like how, like, not only that number is possible, but even higher numbers as far as volume go are possible, because look at what we've accomplished at the bottom of PulseChain today as far as volume goes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
2 million. Like, that's only a 5x away to 10 million.
Yeah. I'm nodding my head. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, and 5x of PulseChain, like, come on, that should be easy for us, let alone like what X's we do against it should help out us get there even faster. But yeah, at $2 million in daily volume, pTGC alone has generated over $100,000 in revenue.
Oh, really? I'm going to go to the dashboard. I'm looking at pTGC and lay my eyes on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, $103,000 in fees collected. That's the biggest number. That's the biggest I've seen.
Yeah, and it's a decent number, right? And the thing that I love about that number is it's at the bottom of PulseChain. The fact that we're able to generate these types of numbers at the bottom of PulseChain, not even just the bottom of PulseChain, pretty low on Hex, pretty low on PulseX. Honestly, like, a lot of the forked over copies numbers are pretty low right now too. And with these systems being successful around us, it's just going to make our system more successful. Obviously, our system's doing great on its own, which is awesome, right? Like, we've been scoring a lot of baskets as a single player, but once our team starts playing with us and starts shooting some baskets and some wins, that's just going to make us even stronger. The fact that we're able to generate $100,000 in revenue without really the help of our liquidity being grown with our connected assets, instead it's being sucked down, is, I think, it shows how strong this machine actually is. It's nice to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, UFO had $53,000 of value generated. So, yeah, just in the last 24 hours, we've generated $150,000 in revenue. I always like to calculate what that could be out if we could maintain stuff like this throughout like 365 days. And I even like comparing it to businesses, right? So that would be $54 million of value generated in a year. If you think of any business that can generate $54 million in value a year, it's usually a pretty large business. And I always like to look at what would that business have in overhead? The fact is, this is a machine that runs on a fully decentralized system. It runs on a blockchain. It doesn't need employees. It doesn't need a building. It doesn't need any sorts of overhead.
Mm-hmm.
That revenue, there's no middleman touching it. It goes 100% back to pTGC.
Yeah.
Holders and rewards, holders, stakers, APY, buy-in burns, LP ads, all sorts of things. New speculative LPs with promising narratives on chain. But it's going back to the ecosystem. It's not paying middlemen their overhead. And then in the real world, that's where a majority of the value generated goes. Anyone who actually owns a business in the outside world, your first good chunk of value that you generate is going to overhead.
No, easily.
Pocket.
Yeah. you figure 54 million in revenue. You know, a normal PE ratio for like tech industry stock, and that's traditional finance, which we know you play at way lower multiples than that in the crazy world of crypto, is usually like 30, which would be 54 million times 30, which would put you at like 1.6 billion valuation for that business. And we know that you see that like 300 million. And in the crypto sector, you're usually working on multiples compared to traditional markets. So just keep that in mind, guys.
Yeah, I was kind of given the analogy the other day that like the two pretty much most lucrative things you can do is be in tech startups or crypto. And the reason why tech startups are usually very lucrative is one, because they're a value generating system, and then you're getting in early, and then obviously the business grows, and then it's worth more, right? After the business grows, and you can sell your shares of the business for usually more money. And what I find so interesting about this system is it actually generates value. You're getting in early, and then it's revaluing itself as time goes on from it generating that value. So it's the liquidity is getting bigger. That gives the system more value. The tokens are buying and burning. That gives the system more value. There's becoming more holders. That gives the system more value. So you're kind of getting the best of both worlds. You're getting the value generating system that's kind of more like a tech startup in the real world, because people love the idea of something that actually can generate value from an outside source and bring it in. But then you're also getting some of the sweet things that crypto gives you. And the sweet things that crypto gives you is the decentralization, the fact that there's no overhead involved, the fact that the X's are pretty much limitless to an extent. Like, these things could like literally go and go and go with the adoption of PulseChain and crypto, and, you know, obviously Trump as being president, with very, very very little effort, even from the system itself. And then you could just put the mechanics of the system and the fact that it's generating value on top of that, and it just like got to blow your mind.
Well, Zen, do you want to look at the stats for the month of January?
Yeah.
Okay. I got those together today, and it's pretty insightful. Obviously, I put it together, so I reviewed it myself, and I actually put a lot of it already in the Telegram, but in particular for people that aren't in Telegram, this will be interesting, I think. But if you are watching on YouTube, you can see the most recent month at the top, January, you know, going back December, November, October, all the way back. And some of the data is new, like the fee distribution. We've only had 2 months of fee distribution records. And then I started tracking in January the unlock rewards per my 1 million pTGC stake and lock. So, but what we'll do is we'll just start at the left and go to the right, and I'll try to narrate, and then just stop me, Zen, if you want to make any comments. But Ethereum's total volume and average volume obviously was the highest I've seen in 6 months, at $73 billion for the whole month. December was 68, November 64. And then PulseChains actually dipped. In December, it was 1.8 billion. In January, it was about half that at 800 million. pTGC's total volume has increased from July. Listen, in July, it was 832,000. October, 2 million. December, 9.5 million. January, 12 million. So, I mean, it's come a long way, baby, like a 12x since July. And the fee distribution in December was $455,000. In January, it was $623,000. The ratio also has come a long way. In August, it was, well, I just went to like the very middle. I pulled up Deck Screener, and I got the, I pulled up the ratios, and I just went right to the center to get kind of the middle for the month. I put it on the monthly chart, went at the middle. So in August, it was 0.89. And then let's get another snapshot here. In November, it was 4, December 6, January 11. And then the average, well, we can skip that. The average holding yield for that 100 million is not a very juicy metric. The total unlock for the month of January, so that 1 million pTGC lock that I have earned 526 pTGC for being locked for 10 years. So you guys can do the math. However much you have locked in 10-year locks. So let's say you have 10 million pTGC in 10-year locks. Just multiply that 526 times 10. And that's what you would have earned. And then you can kind of do a little experiment and see what it would be worth at, a penny or 10 cents. And then you can use lookintoptgc.com for that also to have a little bit of fun. The average tokens burned it was 12 million per day on average. Let's see. Average PTs. Per day. There's a little confusion in here, and I'm on stream, so I'm gonna have to go back and fix this. It's almost like doing math on stream. You just don't do it. So I'm gonna go back and look at that later. Let's see. This is where I get really excited. The average holders added in September, 23, October, 27. This is per day. November, 30, December, 28, January, 46. Side note.
Stop you real quick, Banana. Do you see that we're up 47% on the day?
Yes.
That's pretty good.
I was just looking at that, bro. I'm looking at 48%. I'm looking over here like, wow. Bro,
I know.
wow.
I know.
I told you guys when I first started speaking, 10% away from a new all-time high. Now you're like 4 or 5% away.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
the alien, that's what did.
You nailed it, Nick. And so I know we're only 2 days into February, but we're at like 73 or something like that on average for the month so far. And I'm just going to take it. I know we're only 2 days in, but I like it. Let's keep that average up.
That's actually pretty good, Banana, considering the fact that I feel like a lot of attention has not been on us the last 2 days.
Exactly.
There's been a lot of stuff going on. So I actually thought it was going to be lower, but I'm happy to see that we're still increasing, even with a lot of other entertainment on chain right now, right?
Yep. I know. It blew me away. I was getting my stats this morning. We had 11 yesterday. And today I was like, oh, please let it be whatever it needed to be, like 60. And it was 135. I'm like, yeah, man. I love it.
Yeah. The one thing that is nice about being in a way a store of value is people will go and play this casino, but after they play the casino, if they do have winnings, they usually need something safe to store their winnings in. An asset that is highly deflationary, has a strong community, pays APY just for holding is probably a good place to start putting the value that you maybe earn in some of the more speculative things that don't have sustainability and longevity. So my prediction is, as time goes on, as more people come here and they see the value within pTGC, I bet they could park some of the value that they enter in with pTGC, but maybe some of the value that they create over here ends up in pTGC and UFO as well.
Yeah,
that's already happening, man. There's people that made a crap ton in most and doubled, quadrupled their pTGC bags. That's why pTGC is about to hit all-time highs, guys. Because they see what this is. They know what this is. We've been doing this for 17 months. It's not an apparition. It's not just happening out of osmosis. People know why the value is where it is.
I took some value out of a meme coin over on Ethereum and brought it over here. Yeah, man. I know what's worth my money. It is what it is.
Yeah, somebody hit up B yesterday and or earlier today, and was just thanking him upside down for introducing him to pTGC. He was like, man, I just quadrupled my pTGC bag in both for both, man.
Oh,
he's just
nice.
super pumped
That's awesome.
But here's the kicker, though. The kicker is that we get to have the best of both worlds, right? It was such an awesome thing to just take a position in most the way that the Dow did, and obviously it didn't just go in super fast like right out of the gate, because it takes a little time to kind of watch the market. It takes a little time to make sure that you kind of are seeing a community consensus and that Richard is actually behind the thing and that there's actually a lot of momentum and independent volume, and you're looking for a lot of these different things. Dow obviously doesn't just add things to the LP web, right? It's very far few and in between. So the fact that it worked out so well so far, and it's almost already paid for itself, is phenomenal. And we got everybody that's holding the tokens exposure to something new, and it really shows the pivot power of the Grace currency.
Worth noting is that in my records, the highest volume day for Ethereum that I have recorded was $3.5 billion. Today, it was double that, 7.2. So let's go back to my monthly records. So we finished with the holders. And let's keep scrolling over. UFO total volume, actually it decreased. It was 11 million in November, 15 million in December, and 8 million in January. And anybody would have guessed that, right? And then but the UFO fee distribution was 893,000 in December and 491,000 in January. Same thing, we would have guessed it. But listen to the ratios. In September is 0.1, October 0.2, and this is a ratio to WPLS. November 0.4, December 0.9, January 1.2, moving up against the network token for the 5 months that I have record. And you can see all this on Dex Screener. It's just fun to see it in one spot. Average holders added. It actually increased in January, but it wasn't the highest. The highest that we have on record is 35 for November, and then 25 in December, 31 in January. It'll be interesting to see what happens in February. I want to see it go higher than 35, but we just have to kind of wait and see how that goes. And that's about it for the monthly data.
That's awesome. Thank you for keeping track of all that, Banana.
You're welcome. I put a bunch of that into a tweet, and it'll drop tomorrow morning. So if you guys can pass that around, it's only really for geeks and data heads. Nobody's really going to want to read it, but it'll be of value to some people. And the ones that read it that aren't perhaps into the grays yet, the ones that will dig into the numbers and do the comparisons, it should leave an indelible impression on them, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think some people really care about those numbers because those numbers show the growth. Those numbers aren't like anyone could technically go back and really see if those numbers are accurate if they wanted to, but numbers are usually facts, and it's a way to show the growth in another form besides just like community engagement or the price, etc. Because I always think like everyone in crypto pays so much attention to the price chart, but there's so many more like analytics than just that, right? And like for an example, our chart that shows how much supply is liquid in our liquidity pools, right? Like when we just recently started really looking at that a lot more and realizing like, oh my gosh, there's only 5.4 billion pTGC even able to be purchased out of the liquidity pool currently. And that's for the whole world, right? Like PulseChain still doesn't have adoption. RH comes and launches this pump.tires thing trying to onboard, the whole world, like what happened to Solana. And as they end up here, as they make gains here, as they just end up here and want to get some pTGC. That's all that's currently on the market for them right now. Like, obviously, as price goes up, people will put more back in there, but currently that's all that's on the market for them. And they need to compete with the DAO, UFO, and pTGC's code and amplifier codes as well to get that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This is a fun little ecosystem. I wonder how your experimental wallet's doing.
You can pull it up if you want.
I'm going to.
PulseChain's still below price of when I created it. I think PulseChain was at 0.00007 when I created it. Obviously, PulseX was higher than it is now. Hex is higher than it was now. Ink was higher than it was now. I think PDI was even higher than it is now. So pretty much I'm down on everything in that wallet besides UFO.
You're not the only one that's down on stuff. Especially if you LP'd. But you're up in rewards. So it more than makes up for it. Oh yeah, your wallet is worth $102,000. I think
That's
it's
not right.
Well, let's see. Ending in 0B25. Is that the last four of the wallet address?
Yeah, I just refreshed it and it says $294,000.
Oh, up at the top. Okay. Well, what's this number down here next to wallet? It says 101,000. What is that number? That's just for that one section, which is the wallet assets. It's not counting the assets that are in LP on PulseX.
Yeah, that's only the UFO. So I LP'd most of that wallet, just for anyone listening. So this wallet was created, I think, a month or two after UFO launched.
About a month.
Mm-hmm. And it was pretty much a journey just to see how easy it would be to turn $30,000 into $1 million using the UFO farms. And what I did was I took the majority of it and bought UFO and RH tickers and paired the RH tickers with the UFO and within the farm. So I'm earning the LP and APY with those, which currently is worth roughly $7,384. So just in APY in the PLS rewards, I've technically, what would that be? Almost a fourth. Yeah, a little over a fourth, or no, a little under a fourth. So I'm probably 22% of the way there to get even back to what I put in just in rewards. So I put 30K in, and just in rewards, I'm at 7K. So yeah, that's like 22% of the way there, just getting paid back in the rewards. But then on top of that, I obviously have all the other assets, which UFO obviously was the top performer. All the other RH tickers are down, but currently the position's worth almost 300K. So pretty much up 10x on the whole entire wallet.
Okay. Didn't UFO launch in May? It wasn't April, was it? It was May, right?
Yeah, like May 1st,
okay,
May 2nd.
You made this experiment on May 20th. So it's 3 weeks into the project is when you made
Okay,
it.
3 weeks into the project.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm excited to see how long it takes to get to 1 million. I'm not going to shut it down once I get there. I think I'll just make a new journey goal after that. After we get to 1 million, let's say 5 mil or whatever.
Yeah. Well,
one milestone I'm excited for is I'm excited for the APY that it receives to be larger than the amount that I even put into the wallet.
Yes. Yeah, that'll be a big deal. I think it's going to be, I think you're going to hit that 1 million milestone. Perhaps, I mean, that's just a 3X. I think by the anniversary, May 20th, I think it'll be worth $1 million. I think that's a reasonable expectation, if I can put it that way. Yeah. Well.
Yeah, and anyone can look at that wallet too. I've posted it a few times. It's public. Follow it on Deep Ink. Mikey, how you doing?
Just a quick question regarding your experimental wallet. You know your LP pools that you did you, when you created them, did you do equal dollar amounts in each one?
They weren't exactly equal, but they were pretty close.
Yeah, so that's like a good barometer then of how the pools were doing, really, isn't it? That's how I look at it.
Yeah, they were pretty close. So you can I'd say they probably structured themselves in what pools have done the best, like which tokens. So the PDI pair was obviously the best one that I did, or smartest, which also tells you that it's the one I have the least amount of impermanent loss in as well of my UFO. Second is PHEX. Third is PulseX. Fourth is EHEX, PulseChain, and then Ink being the worst performer.
That's all I got, Zen. Thanks very much for that.
Yeah, no, thanks for pointing that out. That's what I love about how LPs work is ultimately the best performing pair that you have, like pTGC or UFO, or even personally, becomes your biggest. And for pTGC or UFO, obviously you want your best LP pair to be your biggest, because then that LP pair has the most leverage on your ecosystem. Obviously, you want your best assets to have the most sway of your ecosystem. And it's kind of cool how LP pools just naturally do that. I call it the alpha pool. Any ecosystem in these liquidity web structures, if you make every liquidity pair the same, naturally your alpha pool will become the largest due to it being the best performer. And then that alpha pool has the best, or impact, has the most impact on your token due to it being the largest pair.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I got. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thanks for coming up. Good to hear from you.
No problem. Thank you.
Rolando said this is getting out of hand. Well, if it's getting out of hand for you, Rolando, you can just hand your bags over to me. I'll take care of it for you, man. Who else wants to come up and make a comment?
Good evening there, guys. I just have a couple questions on your UFO and pTGC. And you guys are the experts, so I just thought I'd pick your brains a little bit. If a person was going to, what should a person do? Go all in on pTGC, go all in on UFO, or split it down the middle, or and create liquidity pairs, and or just do your guys' protocol with stake that you have on UFO and locking tokens? Thanks.
So I will say what has worked the best for UFO is
Yes.
One second. For UFO, what seemed to be the most lucrative has actually been just holding UFO, because impermanent loss has been so heavy on the LP providers just due to the RH tickers not moving up with the system. The APY has actually been better since you've been receiving APY in UFO, and you've also been realizing no impermanent loss. But this past performance is absolutely no guarantee of the future, right? Like RH tickers could go on a rip any moment now. Impermanent losses could start to even out. PLS rewards that people receive could start going up as well. But this is just in the past what has happened is people who have just been holding have actually been earning some decent APYs just for holding with no impermanent loss. As far as pTGC goes, if you plan on being in the ecosystem for a long time, staking you really can't go wrong with. But if you plan on only being in it for a short amount of time, you might want to just hold.
Right, and I saw that you guys' promotional picture there. It showed like the APYs and stuff that played out with that that wallet that you guys tracked for the year, and it had about 100% APY for holding pTGC, staking it, and doing all the functions with pTGC. It was about 100%. And so, does that include like the multiple X's and stuff that can come with price increase throughout the year? So a person would assume that would be 100% of everything of your earnings throughout the year, I guess.
That does include the X's, yeah. So what that is that's actually based on dollar value. So a lot of people get confused just because of Hex, and a lot of the ecosystem is obviously from Hex, and Hex's APY is based on token quantities because it's inflation based. So we calculate our APY based off of dollar value. So that APY that's being shown there is kind of saying like, if you injected, let's say, $50,000 a year ago, you've actually earned $50,000 in rewards if you're a staker. But what you have to pay attention to, that doesn't mean you received the exact same amount of tokens that you bought. It's not token quantities. It's dollar value you entered in with versus what the dollar value is currently of the APY that you received. I don't know if that makes sense completely.
Yeah, I think so. Like, so if a person puts in $10,000 and that thing, the picture says 100%, I would get 100% within the 1 year of just the $10,000. But the price might have gone up 4x. So I'd have $40,000 worth of tokens, but I'd just still receive about $10,000 worth of reward.
Correct. Yeah, and that's just past performance. That's no guarantee of the future. That's just a year's worth of data of what we found. But yes, so your wallet that you're holding is now not worth $10,000. It could be worth, like you said, $40,000. But the rewards that you received are worth $10,000. So the value of them is worth that.
Okay, I appreciate that. I did have one more question, but I just forgot what it was. I'll come back to it.
Yeah, and then also add on to that, you do get rewards just for holding pTGC, and if you stake it, you get a reward, and that's completely flexible. You can withdraw it whenever you want. There's just a 1% fee when you decide to withdraw. That's why he was saying if you're a little more long term on us on pTGC, then it makes sense to take it because you will accrue that 1% withdrawal fee, which gets redistributed as well. And then if you decide to lock it, each locking period has different terms. The short locking period term is a 30% early withdrawal only. So you only get hit that if you rebuke on your contract and you would try to withdraw those locked tokens earlier than you said you would. So just keep that in mind before you do it as well. Look at the fees that are associated with staking and locking and see if it makes sense for your time horizon.
Right, and if a person was looking to feed off of drip and stuff, that locking them up doesn't, like, is the drip locked up as well, or does that just drip right into your wallet and that's not locked?
It doesn't drip right into your wallet, but it's claimable at any time. So all of the APY with staking or locking is accessible at any time. All you do is have to claim it, and it goes right into your wallet. It's not locked up with what you locked up.
Okay, and then if I did lock up, I can unlock a portion of it, or I have to unlock all of it at the same time, or I can unlock different portions as I choose to go on.
It's very similar compared to Hex in this way, is if you want to be able to access portions, you have to create separate locks. So one thing that people do, even if they have the same time frame, they'll separate their bag into a couple different bags within the same wallet, but they'll just do separate locks in case they ever do need to access a portion of it. They are getting hit with the 30% on only a portion of it, not on the entire bag. And even if they fulfill their time, right, you can create a ladder, but then let's say they just want a portion of the funds, they don't want the whole thing, well, then they can still leave the other 5. Even if the time has been fulfilled, they can just leave those in there after the date and still continue to earn rewards. That's one thing that's different about our system is once you fulfill your time, you can leave them there forever. You never get penalized and you continue to earn as well.
And then from what you guys have seen, I guess as this monster keeps on growing, do rewards increase with the volume that's coming in? Like if the same $10,000 wallet just sits there and doesn't add anything to it, but as the volume increases, 10x, I heard you guys talking about $10,000 volume and now $1 million volume. So I assume that the beast grows grow with that, and that the more LPs that you guys create with more tokens, the more volume that gets created. It's kind of an ever-growing machine, yes?
Yeah, 100%. All of the APY is paid out based on volume. The more volume we get, the more APY that we pay out. So that's why our goal is to continue to grow our liquidity web and for PulseChain to also be successful along with ourselves being successful. Because as all these things happen, like as we become more successful, as PulseChain becomes more successful, as our liquidity webs grow, the APY will continue to increase as long as volume's increasing. And then also keep in mind, if you never shrink your position size, your APY naturally increases as well. Even if you sell all of your APY every single time you get it, like let's say once a month, you just cash out all of your APY. Your percentage of the APY actually still increases with every single transaction because the overall circulating supply is ever decreasing due to the deflationary system of pTGC.
And I know that you guys were touching on it earlier for the pump tire meme coins. Do you guys see a lot of benefit coming in if pump tire gets exciting, sort of like pump fun, with all of that volume happening, or would you guys be staying away from that ecosystem mainly?
Well, we did pair with one of the tokens just today. I think the LP pool is worth roughly $100,000 right now. It was one of the main ones that I think it was the first one that launched that RH tweeted about 3 times, that had a good amount of volume, and a lot of the PulseChain community members kind of backing a little bit. But I don't plan on just pairing with like new ones every week, right? Like there's going to be some sort of a vetting process where I think a lot of the benefit of this pump fun fork is going to come is the fact that RH made it to where it buys and burns Pulse, and all the liquidity gets automatically pushed over to PulseX, which obviously buys and burns PulseX as well. I think this volume just flowing through the chain is going to help increase our volume for one, but then also help appreciate the RH core ticker prices. I don't think it's a coincidence that 3 days after pump.tires launched, we're hitting some of our highest volume days in the last, like literally, I think today was the highest volume day that pTGC had in the last year and a half. And in the last year and a half, this is pretty much one of the, I think today is the best volume day for pTGC. And I do think that had something to do with Pump Fun or Pump.tires being released.
And then the community here is just, they're really excited about this volume, and it's sort of a volume party for you guys on today, no matter what the price is, because the tokens are dispensed and you guys receive these rewards off of that, right? So the volume is king kind of experience.
Yeah, to put it in perspective, today the fees collected just by pTGC, not even including UFO, is $106,391. 11,000 of that was straight to burn pTGC. 10,600 was for liquidity add. $42,000 went to the DAO to decide, and let's say 99% of the time the DAO has decided to either buy and burn pTGC or add to LPs. 21,000 went to pTGC holders, and an additional 21,000 went to pTGC stakers. So that's why it's a volume party. That's in 24 hours, and that's just for pTGC, not even counting UFO, which did another $9,400 worth of buy and burns on pTGC as well.
That's really great, man. So I also see a bunch of I don't know if they're development team or whatever, if they're just members of the community, but they seem to be holding a lot of informational sessions. Is that kind of the norm for this community to always be out there, always be teaching, and always holding conferences and whatever else is going on for promotion for pTGC?
Yeah, I try to spend time every single day educating people on this system. I obviously am, I think, one of the thought leaders on this system, and I feel like with pTGC, we do have to educate some people on the system so they understand what they hold. If they don't understand what they hold, they think that every copy is ultimately the same, and it's just not true. So.
And when people, I think I saw somebody in the chat mention that they thought I would do a 25x from this point on this run up for this bull run. Do you guys kind of agree with that sentiment, or do you think it's going to go higher? Do you think it's going to, are we looking at a 4x over the next year, or are we actually maybe possibly looking at a 50x if everything kicks off for RH and his case gets dismissed and all this other kind of stuff and that kind of volume comes in?
I really have no idea on exact amounts of X's. I've just been letting the machine do what it does, and I believe the more successful PulseChain is, the more successful pTGC will be.
Yeah, and more of a community member, outsider looking in, who just happened to stumble upon this and figure out the token economics when it was like a $2 million market cap. So not even at the beginning, sitting at over 100x. My big thesis was the success of pTGC would be an exponential multiplier on the success of the RH blue chips. And since launch, the RH blue chips are probably down since I first bought pTGC, honestly. And yet I'm sitting on 110x or whatever, not including passive income. So I think it's really hard to project potential upside. All I can say is if you track the wallets, a lot of the whales aren't selling, or if they do sell, they sell passive income, small chunk selling, whatever that may be. And the burning, the buybacks and burns, the LP ads, and the daily content just continues to, grind on, pump things higher, whether there's humans interacting or not. A lot of the volume comes from market makers on PulseChain's network. And remember, go look at the pairs of pTGC and the liquidity pools with these RH tickers and PDI and Teddy Bear and all these other things. At PulseChain, if I say, hey, I think PLS can do a 5x or a 10x from here this cycle, 99% of the people in this ecosystem would think that would be a flat-out failure. And even if I'm right and it does a 10x, what is the multiple that pTGC does compared to that? I mean, right now it's trending at a very, very big multiple compared to PLS over the past year or 18 months. And I think that trend continues.
All right, guys. Thanks for your time tonight. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Banana, what do you want to move into next?
I'm reviewing our notes, our kind of outline that we have. And the only thing that we haven't done that might be worth getting into is some moon math. Are you up to that?
I think the moon math would be a good parlay for the guy who was just talking to, because you can kind of see some of the multiples and possibilities.
Okay. I like that. Let's do it. Let me remove some screen comments here. let's go to, so we'll do 3. At least we'll plan on 3. We'll see how it goes. Make sure I'm logged in. We're going to do pTGC against PLS. Zen, we're almost at 20 to 1. Are you opposed to doing an X factor of 10? We have been doing 5. That'd be a double. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. We're going to do an X factor of 10. And just to keep it simple, I'm going to do 100X on Pulse. Because then you guys can kind of do math real simple. If you do a 7.5 and a 98X on Pulse, it just gets messy. So 100X on Pulse. And we know that that's going to be, sorry, I got to back this up. That's going to be that'll be a 500X from where pTGC is right now.
That's not math, man. That's like Mars math, bro.
No, welcome to the mothership, Mando. X factor of 10, 100X on Pulse gives us a 96 cent pTGC. Is that even possible, guys? Do we need to get real? I think Pulse can only do a 50X. Let's tone it down a little bit.
I mean, it's all possible with time, bro. You give this thing enough time, bro. Sky's the limit, man. I tell everybody, pTGC has no ceiling, bro. You give this thing enough time. I mean, $10 billion market cap is not a meme. Like, it's really not. Just give this shit time.
Okay. So we toned it down to a 5X multiplier and a 50X on Pulse, which gives us a 24 cent pTGC. I can handle that a lot better. Then 96 cents was just over the top. And just so you know, the math for UFO is going to be the same. It'll be in X's, not price. So let's go to, I'm just going to skip the UFO. Perhaps we'll do that another time. Let's go to the reflections. Experimental mode. I like the demo wallet. What should we do for a volume on here, Zen? I mean, we're at $2 million in volume right now. What do you think we could sustain for a year or average for a year?
You know, I like to use the 10 million number.
I do too. Why? Because it's simple. It's simple. Okay. pTGC, $10 million.
I think it's fairly simple achievable too with the successful pulse.
Yeah, that too. I think it's achievable. Especially as an average for a whole year. So that would, and this is the reflections calculator. It's not going to calculate staking rewards or locking rewards for us. So the annual return would be 15%. That's reflections only, not even including any value changes of the tokens that you've already earned. And then this is a shark position. So at $10 million in volume, he would earn $158,000 in 1 year. And that's $1 million bag. See, that's a $1 million bag earning $157,000 in a year. And then like a single shark position, let's see. No, let's go down to the, I think the next shark position down on this page is the actual one that's above. I'm gonna have to look at this later, but I think it's the same wallet.
That's cool.
But the ones down.
Are you sharing the numbers that for if you're staked also?
No.
I think that's super important for the APY because anyone who cares about APY or is trying to access APY, they should be staking, right? If that's an important feature to them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important for people to know what the APY is if you're a staker.
Oh, yeah. So we can mention that. It's the additional APY for staking is 165% more. And that's based on a wallet that I have some test stakes in, test locks, 165% more. above reflections for staking. And then if you lock the tokens, it's 230% more than just holding. Is that what you wanted to mention, Zen?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I just think that's really important because if you care about APY and that's like one of the main reasons you're in the system or you like that part of the system, you most likely are staking as well.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people that ask about APY, and we get it. So, and then for UFO, let's look at that. Again, $10 million in volume. The annual return would be 48% APY, not including any changes in the token value. So if the token value increases, it's going to increase the APY. And this is a shark position at $1 million in volume in value. And his yearly yield would be $466,000. That's very juicy. And the LP, and this is just reflections. This is not taking into account LP, and the LP would be a separate equation anyhow, because LP UFO does not earn reflections. A shark position is 930 million tokens, $800,000 right now, and it would earn in a year $372,000. Let's look at the lot calculator, unless you have any questions or comments on this section.
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. So the total locked pTGC is actually, it's not 136,000 anymore. It's 138,000. Not that it matters for this calculator, but what we're going to do is we're going to simulate and unlock for a certain number of tokens at a certain price. And what's really cool about this calculator is you can put all these values in here. So we're going to simulate an average unlock. And in the last year, there has been 400 million pTGC unlocked every month. So we're going to put 400 million in here, and we're assuming this is 10-year lock. 400 million, and let's say you have 100 million. And the price of the tokens is now 10 cents, which we're 100x away from 10 cents. And then you're in 10-year lock, so you're going to take home 100% of what you could earn for your pool position in the Locky pool. So in that 1 month, granted, there has to be $400 million pTGC unlocked for the month. And it has to be 10-year locks, or it has to be an equivalent. So, and then you're a $100 million bag for 10 years. So you're taking home 100%. The price is now at this time 10 cents. So the estimated value would be $29,000. That's a good deal. I mean, if you can accumulate that much pTGC and lock it. And then obviously if it goes to that 50 cents, which we just saw in the Moon Math calculator, then it's $145,000. And those numbers, they're so big that I have a hard time almost even saying them out loud. But I know this is crypto and we can go there. I still have some hesitation. Talk me down off the ledge, man.
I didn't think there was a ledge.
Yeah. It's mind blowing, man.
Yeah, with this system becoming more successful, obviously the APY, the rewards, the machine just runs at higher levels, making it to where anyone who believes in the system, I think, will be greatly rewarded, not only in the price of the tokens that they're holding, but the price of the tokens that they're receiving as well.
Yeah, Yeah, I was about to say it's hard to talk you off the ledge because, like I said, when I first got in this, my thesis was it would be run on multiples compared to the blue chips, which I thought would have more instant success, and those are at the same levels or lower, and yet PTGC's up over 100x. So it's hard to talk you off the ledge when you already see the success it's having just from volume, not even getting the help from price appreciation of the LP pools.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember Prairie when Richard did a big get together. I think it was in Copenhagen, and everything was recorded. And he came in and he had his jacket and everything, and they were talking. And he said something to the same aspect of what you're saying. He said something, when somebody asked him about the price of Hex, and he said, frankly, it could go to numbers that. He said something like, frankly, it could go to numbers that we're not even I'm not even comfortable even it's crazy even thinking about it kind of a thing, right? He said the same exact kind of a thing,
Yeah, I remember that.
And that's why people are in crypto.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Totally. I'm actually, what up, dudes? I'm doing some quick math right here, which I love this subject, the moon math part of it. But I'm a little bit more conservative. I'm a little bit more conservative and a little bit more like kind of where we at today. So today, right now, I'm looking at my chart right now, and I've got Pulse at like 4 zeros and a 5. And let's say, I go to the calculator or whatever. Let's say that I'm playing pretend here, but let's say we get some legal clarity, etc. Thing, the hype is there, the hype is real. Let's say we go to 3 zeros and a 3. Okay, it's a 3x above SAC. Everybody's in profit. Everybody's happy. It's a realistic situation. It's been a couple of years. That's 3 zeros and a 3. And if we put our multiplier at 5, that's conservative. That's super conservative. Multiplier at 5, we're looking at a 30x for pTGC. Okay.
Yeah, it's almost 3 cents.
That is for a lot of people who hold this token right now, that's life-changing.
Yes.
Okay. And most people who are on this space have never done a 30x in their life. And so as much as I love the moon math stuff, but dude, that's phenomenal. That would help a lot of people. That would change a lot of lives. 30x is phenomenal.
Not even including the passive income generated along the way.
Correct, exactly. So that's just cherry on top, all the other stuff. So you're looking at a 30x. Dude, 30x and pulses at SAC. Like for those that that maybe want to buy a little pulse or whatever, sure, go for it, man. You want to whatever. Like that's the beautiful thing about pTGC is that it's gonna keep humming. So in my personal opinion, a 3 penny to 3 cent pTGC is a conservative bet. I just wanted to kind of chime in with a little bit of reality here, which is a lot of people have been holding onto their sack bags, myself included, up until recently, and pTGC is offered a pretty amazing ability to multiply those. So anyway, I'm looking at 5 multiple, right at a 3x above SAC, and that puts pTGC right at about 3 cents, which is a 30x from here, and that's incredible, and that could change a lot of lives. So,
well, I'll say this, man. That's the conservative side. B was running numbers, and his numbers are upward of over 50 cents if the thing goes parabolic with PulseChain.
Dude, totally. He publicly said 52, 53
I think it was 56 cents, something. It was almost a $50 million market cap or something.
Exactly.
Similar to the Hex's market cap from last cycle.
Exactly. And those who don't know me, I've been like the biggest Hex maxi you will ever meet in your life, and I still am. I own Hex. I love it, all that stuff. But pTGC is such an incredible token.
Trev,
What up, dog?
Day one AA. day one AA, Hexo gets on 6 months in, whatever. And what was the thing? If Hex could just get to 1 cent, if it could just get to 1 cent, it would just be the biggest thing ever, right? And it just blows past 1 cent and goes straight to 56 cents.
I told you, man, dude.
You remember that?
I don't want to sound crazy, but I think this is kind of
dreaming of 1 cent, and it just blasted through
Dude.
like it was nothing.
Look at this most recent pump. You know what? If you're listening, go pull up Dex Screener, Dex Tools. Okay, put it on the daily or the 3 month or 3 day, whatever. Zoom out a little bit. Okay, and you're going to see 2 major dips. You're going to see the Interpol FUD dip, which was pretty brutal, and then you're going to see this last dip we had yesterday. Look how fast those things got eaten up. Every other token in cryptocurrency that I'm aware of didn't get eaten up that fast, like that I'm aware of. It's insane, man. This thing, like, I don't want to go to like crazy moon math, but you know, I do feel confident saying that penny, 3 cents, you know, for those that have never done a 30, a 50, 100x in their lives or whatever, you know, dude, it's realistic. It's extremely realistic, and it's realistic in a short span of time. Mando, I remember recently, it was like, it was a Telegram space maybe, or an X space or whatever. You were talking about how, you know, once we get legal clarity, you know, it's uncharted territory. And once we get legal clarity, guys, it could do nothing. It could also 10x immediately. We don't know. And the beautiful thing about pTGC is that it hasn't really like, we got to let this thing fly. We need legal clarity for Richard. We need Pulse to have mass adoption, and then let's see what this thing can do. And so that's why, like, I usually lean on the moon math thing. I usually lean to conservative numbers just to kind of, like, you know, keep people grounded and all that kind of stuff, because it's already done incredible numbers. I mean, I personally know people that it's changed their lives already. And it's still, you're still early, you know, so, but yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah, I think Hayden would have something to say about that, because he's very conservative, but at the same time, he also knows what's been built. And when you couple that with the fact that we're still very early in crypto in general, but when you couple that with where the price of PulseChain is, and you couple that with going and watching Cryptographics' video when he rolls out his spreadsheet on how liquidity can work on PulseChain, because we know who's at the helm, and who's at the helm is the master of liquidity, right? And that's all before you take into consideration that this protocol is a first of its class, first of its kind, never seen before, never done before, trying to be copied 49 times from Sunday, can't duplicate. And it is a massive revenue generating cryptocurrency that is hyper deflationary. We don't know what a cryptocurrency, a real cryptocurrency, this isn't a fake cryptocurrency, it's a real cryptocurrency. We don't know what it looks like to see a real cryptocurrency of this kind that we've never seen before in crypto, you know, go from basically just humming, not even in first gear, to the McLarens going balls to the walls at 180 miles an hour. No other crypto has ever had these kind of mechanics, these kind of token burning mechanics, revenue generating mechanics, yield paying out mechanics, the ability to pivot, constantly add new things that generates more revenue. It's an experiment that's just out of this world. It's the alien out of this world experiment. So I personally like to lean toward the conservative as well, but I also think it's okay to say, hey, look at how much X a lot of other, look at SHIB. SHIB did like 1 million X in like 15 months. It was just some astronomical, crazy thing, right?
Absolutely, man. And I was actually a part of that. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, just people like there's people that put in like $300 and turned it into like $20 million or some crazy thing, right? It's just crazy. Now, I know that Hayden likes to be conservative, but Hayden, perhaps we can get you to just talk about what you think is the potential.
And actually, chiming in really quick, Hayden, we've talked a couple of times on these spaces about conservative numbers. Numbers I just did, I just plugged in like a quick little 5x, like nothing crazy. Now, like, okay, we want to go hard here, and this is, for me, this is hard. But if you look, if you look at the chart, you study the chart. Historically, pTGC has done double-digit multiples. We're talking 10, 15x against Pulse. It has done that. And so if you plug in pTGC, 15x, right? And let's see, a target price for Pulse of 3 zeros and a 3. We calculate that. We're looking at an 8-cent pTGC. That's an 88x from here. And I know I guarantee that most people who are listening have not really hit that 88x. Like, that's life-changing for a lot of people. And so, like, I mean, dude, this thing, there's no telling what this thing can do. That we have not seen it in true price discovery. We have not seen it with legal clarity on the PulseChain side. We've not seen it with Richard shilling PulseChain as a network. Whether he shills certain coins or not, whatever, that's neither here nor there. We haven't seen other influencers come on board who believe in it, which everyone knows I'm working hard in the back end to for that. And, we haven't seen a lot of the Hex maxis and PulseChain maxis realize that this is a wonderful asset that they could possibly add to their portfolio, because it benefits the whole ecosystem as a whole. There's just a lot of things we haven't seen. So with that said, I mean, let's say we get legal clarity, we bounce, and then PTG is just off to the races at a 15 multiplier to 3 times SAC. That's just 3 zeros and a 3. We're looking at an 88x on pTGC, my friends, and that's an 8-cent pTGC, which is absolutely insane.
That changes my life.
And I'm telling you right now, like, absolutely insane. I'm starting to get like early Hex vibes with this thing, man. And I genuinely mean that. And it's wild. So I will shut up with that. I'm done with the moon math. I gave you guys 3 cents and 8 cents. And above that, listen, hey, go take care of your friends and family. Give, love people. Don't be an asshole. So
yeah.
Prairie going straight for the 100x on Pulse and the 100x on pTGC, man. He's after it.
No, but Trevor's right. I mean, if an X factor of even 10 and a 0.0003 on Pulse is, that's hold on a second. X factor 0.003. That's a 59x.
But what I will say, even at that, y'all gonna hate me. If you sell most of your bag at that price, you're cheating hard.
Oh boy.
I'm just saying because I think it's got a lot of fuel.
Yes.
It's got a lot of fuel. But I think it's important in these spaces. I think it's important we keep level heads, right? We understand exactly what this thing can do, and let yourself be surprised. Keep your targets conservative. Like, there's not going to be a bull run like this again. There's not. This is the bull run we've all been waiting for. And when this thing is on the front page of CoinMarketCap, when it's when BitBoy's talking about it, when all of it, man. Okay, like, you're early. Like, just be conservative, take care of you and your friends and your family, and that'd be my advice. So yeah. But yes, it can do 1,000x from here.
Yep.
You heard him, Banana. No getting a Lamborghini and leaving your wife, okay?
Yeah, please don't do that. Please don't do that.
Yeah.
All you're allowed to do, Banana, is get that pTGC tattoo. You want it, and that's it.
Yeah.
Listen, I was talking to my friend the other day. Y'all, you can go to my profile pic. I'm covered, dude. My face, hands, neck, all of it. This thing hits 3-5 cents. I'll post a pTGC tattoo. I got you.
You'll find a place for one, right?
Dude, I'm running out of room, bro. For real.
Yeah, but on the note of the moon math thing, the one thing that I remember is last January, PulseChain went up like a 4 or 5x. And in that event, our system did roughly a 4DX. We outperformed PulseChain by roughly 10x. And that was due majorly due to our connected assets outperforming PulseChain. So we're getting free X's from Hex, PulseX, PDI, because they also have reflexivity. So just like how we have reflexivity to PulseChain, so does all the other RH tickers and main tickers that we are bonded to. So those are just free X's right there, which is beautiful, right? Like more free X's that we can get from the things around us, the better. That means we just do more when we get more on our own. But so like even if you think of just a 10x above what PulseChain does, and keep in mind in the last 5 months, we've done a 19x against PulseChain just in the last 5 months. And that's with no one new coming to this chain, like whatsoever. Like these are literally the same old Joes that have been here for the last year and a half. What happens when actually new people start coming over here? And not just new people, new money, right? Like this system is actually what I believe the majority of people in crypto are actually looking for. I kind of believe that because I was once someone who was also looking for this. Everyone that I've actually talked to about crypto and about life is also looking for this exact same product. They're also looking to do a little gambling, a little fun, right? Huge also market fit. But I think this taps a whole other sector where people, after they gamble, they rotate their funds too. And like, think about that. Just a 10x. If we could do, we've done 19 in the last 5 months. Let's say in this bull market, let's say we just do a 10x against PulseChain. And that's due to a lot of different things. That's due to new users coming to PulseChain. That's due to existing people on PulseChain just finding out about pTGC, because the honest truth is a lot of people know of it, but they don't understand it. And there's a huge like mountain that we all have to climb over on, like getting to people and like educating them on the system. Because usually when someone's educated on the system, they fall in love with the system because they're like, wow, this is actually everything I've been looking for. It's actually value generating. Like this is one of the only non-Ponzi's in all of crypto. Like, and I don't mean that in a rude way, but it's just the sad, honest truth. And those are just two aspects. Like I tend to always think about this is Banana says there's only 2,500 people that own over $1,000 of pTGC. There's only like less than 2% of the supply left in liquidity pools currently. So that's 2% of the supply that's left for the whole entire world. Barely anyone even knows PulseChain exists, let alone pTGC.
Dude, that's phenomenal. And
2,000 people.
Dude, if most people, knew the legs that this thing has and the influencers that are coming on board, and bro, that's such a good fact. Yes, absolutely. Preach.
Yeah, and no one even knows PulseChain is a thing really at this point. But I strongly believe RH has a plan for PulseChain where people will know what PulseChain is. And personally, and like I said, a 10x against PulseChain, right? Like we've done double that in the last 6 months. I believe we can easily do that again, or let's say half of that. But personally, a 10x on PulseChain, I don't really consider that a win. I know that's rude to RH, but I don't consider a 10x from here a win of PulseChain. I honestly would consider
No, but
that.
you're being conservative, and there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Totally. Yeah, and then I think everyone in here would agree that most people in this room are RH maxis too. That's the beautiful thing about pTGC as well. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
But yeah.
So even just saying, let's say a 10x sack rate, that's a 20x on PulseChain. It seems very, very hard at this point. But with a couple of tricks by RH, tricks we know he's capable of, a 20x is actually fairly easy. And he has the funds to do it, either personally or with sacrifice funds. He's got the brains to do it. He's got all the levers to his ability. I always like to refer back to Hex, right? With Hex, he was able to have Hex do a 10,000x. And he didn't have as many levers as he does here because he was on Ethereum. Yeah, he had the Ethereum lever that he had kind of by when Hex was launched, but a lot of the X's that came from Hex actually came from Ethereum running up. Really, Hex only did a 500x against Ethereum, and Ethereum did the other X's. RH also used the X multiplier there. But the difference is here on PulseChain, RH has so many more levers. He controls the whole entire system. He can ultimately push anything up as high as he wants to, mixed in with a couple little tricks up his sleeve. So when we do these conservative numbers, I think that's great, right? But there's also that, and RH is one of the biggest speakers of this, is when he sends this whole ecosystem on a magic carpet ride, which is completely possible, pTGC becomes it would be one of the biggest tokens that ever existed just because of how it's designed, right? But even without the magic carpet ride, just a 20x and then a 10x against that, that's a 200x.
Dude, it's just math. It's just math.
It's just math. And that's what everyone doesn't realize is it's actually pretty easy to get to these destinations if you mathematically and mechanically figure it out before you just hit the ground running, right? A lot of people hit the ground running, they're like, okay, we'll figure it out. And it's we'll just figure it out first and then go after it. And it's pretty easy. With PulseChain, when PulseChain went up 4x, we did a 10x just mechanically because of that. But now what I'm super passionate about is we have great people coming on board, like you, right? And I'm one person, I can tell as many people and I can educate as many people, but then you're this other person now coming in, educating all these other people. Mando is now on board, educating all these other people. The last time PulseChain moved up, we didn't have all these people. We didn't have all these holders. We actually had fairly little. So there wasn't a ton of outbound messaging going out about all the X's we were making. It was kind of stuck in the echo chamber. But now we have all these voices that can actually spread the word about what this thing is when green candles start to come, even though they're kind of already going on right now. And that ultimately will expand the growth greater due to Metcalfe's law. But
totally, man. And I to that point though, sorry to interrupt. To that point, there's a lot of guys like myself, man, that I've even spoken to, and who are in right now, and they're just not ready to be public, and that's okay, and that's totally fine. That people don't realize that I said it earlier, but that's one of the cool things I love about this community is that I have yet to meet someone who's in pTGC who isn't such a huge Richard Hart maximalist. that's Gray, that's one of the first things we kind of bonded on, was man, oh yeah, I used to watch his streams late at night and just, reminiscing about, back in 2021 and every single person that's in pTGC loves Richard, man. They love his ethos. They love all of these things. And I think that pTGC in a way is it pays homage to the RH ethos. And as someone who's spent physical time in person with Richard, like I would hope that he would like something like this. I don't know, but like I genuinely believe that this is something really, really cool, man. So it's fantastic. I love the core tokens, man. I've taken a lot of heat online, from a lot of people like, oh, Trevor, personal in real life, like getting real texts being like, Trevor, what are you doing? Talking about this other token, blah, blah, blah. But I stuck to my convictions, man. I've stuck to my convictions, and I genuinely believe that this is a wonderful token. It's not here. It's not a one cycle token. It's a multi-cycle token, and it's got really, really great people and math behind it that is going to stand the test of time. And I hope I'm not wrong, but there's no guarantees or anything like that. But I'm very convicted in this. I'm very convicted in this, and I love that there's some really amazing people in this community who are also Richard Hart maximalists. Because as soon as I started talking about this, that's the one thing that everyone pivoted to. Like, Trevor, did you change? Like, no, dude, I didn't change it. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, no, not at all. In fact, I want to benefit. I want to burn more Pulse. Like, I want to buy more Pulse. I love this network. So, I don't know, man. For what it's worth, dude, I couldn't be happier that I'm here. And I hope and I know there's a lot of new folks that are gonna peek in. You know what I mean? Here soon. We're just now embarking on kind of the beginning of this bull. I mean, think about it, guys. 24 hours ago, the world was ending. Like, seriously, 24 hours ago, we were all looking at our portfolio going, oh my God, look at us now. Like, here we are. Like, things change very fast. And I think that the more we promote this thing, the more other influencers, other people, whatever, it's gonna go. Mando.
Oh no, man! I was just gonna say I was in the chat having a ball, man. Thanking Jesus for the dip, playing some Call of Duty.
Dude, what's funny is I was
the opposite of saying, I was like, thank you, Jesus.
Some of my buddies back in Puerto Rico, dude, I was sending those dudes screenshots being like, boys, this is your entry. This is it. You asked for it. You told me I'm not going to buy a top. I'm not going to buy it. Like, I heard that.
You want to know what's funny too? Some of these Hex Maxi guys, man, that just can't stop. They start tweeting, oh, look at the chart. I thought this thing had alien tech and everything like that. I'm like, guys, you guys have no clue how this system works.
It's so true, dude. We're at the point now where, like, and I, sometimes I go a little hard on Hex, and I should probably chill, but like, we're at the point now where you can learn about pTGC. You can actually go dive in and do your education and do your own research. And when you see people online say things that are, outlandish and not true, like, you can back it up with facts. And that's the wonderful thing I love about this community, is that, like, it's very factual. It's very classy. It's very factual. Hey, man, like, that's cool. If you want to hate on us, that's fine. But here are the facts, and it's funny, man. Like, literally, those who don't know, like, I'm a Puerto Rico guy. All right. But, I was texting my homies yesterday, and a couple of them were like, Trevor, you're in this pTGC thing. Well, tell me all about it, this, that, and the other, the last 3 or 4 weeks or whatever. And then, I sent out texts like a madman, being like, this is your entry. This is your entry. And we're up 45% from that. So, anyway.
You appreciate your testimony, Trevor.
Dude, of course, man. It's the least I can do, dude. I love it's for those that don't know, man, I spent a lot of time with Mando. Okay. just educating. I had so many questions. Because if you followed me for the last like 4 or 5 years, I'm very, very, very cautious about what I talk about, just because I don't want to be that guy, man. I don't. Like, I'm not looking. I don't want to be an influencer, right? Or one of those crypto guys or whatever. I took my time. I studied and I did my own research, and it's been, nothing but a pleasure being here. So, yeah, man, I appreciate it. If anyone else wants to talk, please request. Absolutely.
I see Taylor. Taylor, thank you for stopping in. Always appreciate you.
And Taylor, we don't expect you to speak, but man, I remember back in 2020, 2021 or whatever. I used to watch your videos all the time. I think you have awesome content. I like such good content. I would love to see that kind of come back if there's time. I know that we all have crazy stuff, going on in our lives or whatever, but your content's so good, for real, like for what it's worth.
Yeah, Ariel. I've been speaking with Ariel. I had a real nice conversation with her the other day for about an hour or so. And she's awesome, speaking to a lot of people. Obviously, Crypto Stylist, she's the bomb. And we love the ladies in here because there's just not enough of them. So, but thank you guys.
And also, like, if you guys are listening and you're not a part of the Telegram group, like, jump in. I've been in a lot of Telegram groups, and a lot of them are just kind of, spam or whatever. But the pTGC Telegram group is awesome. It's one I'm actually active in. Most times I'm just a fly on the wall, man. I don't really want to, say anything or whatever. But that one's great. So if you have some time, go check it out for sure.
Hey, Hexbug, could you request again? I accidentally hit the X instead of the check mark.
Yeah, I think there's a couple people that might have questions. Your baby's like sounded like he's having the best time of his life right now, bro.
He's playing, yeah.
Man, we are so close to a new all-time high. It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy.
It's kind of annoying, dude. I keep going back to the chart and like measuring it. I'm like, oh, we're like 5%, 7%, 13%. Like, I'm like, right there. Come on.
Now, where are we against PulseChain? I haven't looked.
19.06.
And also for most people listening, like we all go on Dex Tools or Dex Screener. We all get the chart. This is one thing Mando taught me. Invert that chart, man. Watch it against Pulse since launch, not just a couple months or whatever. That thing has been humming, man. It's like battle tested.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, absolutely.
And then put it on like a 3-day or the weekly too, against Pulse on a longer time frame for a condensed chart. And yeah, it's just you should look at it while you're sitting down.
Yeah, and what that means is that there's our part of the X multiplier that Hayden's always talking about, right? So it's like, okay, if pTGC can do a 5x above PulseChain and PulseChain does a 100x or a 50x or whatever, that's the multiplier, right?
Exactly.
What you're staring at is, it goes to 19 to 1, 20 to 1, 25 to 1, 30 to 1. You're looking at the X multiplier of the pTGC side before you have any X on the PulseChain side. And so it's like what Zen says all the time. It's like we already see what's happening on the pTGC side. The pTGC side is already doing massive X, not just in USD, but more importantly against the blockchain itself, right?
57 X's against the blockchain in the last 365 days. 57 X's.
Yeah, and so that's just there's a proof, there's a reality, right? If you like PulseChain, if you like Richard Hart things, because you can do the same thing against Hex, you can do the same thing against Ink, and you can do the same thing against PulseX. And you're going to have very similar type of X against performance, right? So if you like Richard's things, and this is why we've been trying to tell people, because we're Richard people, you have a lot more of Richard's things by owning pTGC, the ecosystem. It's actually devastatingly, it's so strong that I think that's why we get a lot of the gut reaction we do, from certain people, and it is what it is. But at some point, like let me give you an example, guys, just while I've got everybody on. You got guys that we were sharing this under $1 million market cap. Oh, Mando, you're a scammer. You're not sharing. You're shilling this shitcoin shit thing. You're not talking about Hex only, all this stuff, right? I've never been a Hex only, I've never done. But I was one of the guys who volunteered thousands of hours from before the AA of Hex all the way through the sacrifices to help the community. Did they? No. I was in there as a single dad doing everything I could through the sacrifices to prevent people from getting scammed, to make sure they had the right information, to do everything possible that I could do, right? And then the thing launches, and because I want to share a couple things on PulseChain, I'm called a scammer, right? It's just ridiculous. But here's what ends up happening, right? You share it at $1 million market cap, and then it goes to a $2 million market cap. Oh, you're shilling the top, Mando. You're shilling the top. And then it goes down to 1.5. See, I told you, you guys were scammers. It went down, right? And then it goes back to 5 million. We're still talking about it because that's what we do. We talk about it. It's at a 5 million. You're shilling the top, B-Roots. You're shilling the top. And here we are at a $330 million market cap. We're shilling the top. We're shilling the top. At what point do you just mute those sons of bitches? Seriously, guys. Because it just becomes super, it's not even reality anymore,
I think, Mando, I was probably listening to you back in the day when you were talking about it at a $1 million market cap. And I was rather pleased to have got in when I did, thanks to the likes of yourself, P-Roots and stuff. And, I think early days,
thank you.
Thank you. I think early days, it's just quite interesting to be trying to find some cool, interesting coins on Pulse, because hey, new blockchain, what's going to be good? And this one popped out for sure. But I've got to put my hand on the air and just admit that when I got in, it wasn't about the tech. It was just it was a hot coin. The image and branding was good. I didn't have enough time when I did get in to really get a deep dive going for intel about the tech, which Trevor just spoke about. And I'd love to be reminded about why this coin that I own quite a lot of is good. Is there 5 or 3? What's the 3 best things about the tech?
Are you asking me, or would you like Zen to answer that?
I would like anybody that wishes to add to that question.
I think that Mando or Zen is going to be the best person to answer that. So the 3 top things that you love about the coin, Mando or Zen.
Well, I think that it doesn't matter what I like. I think what matters is reality. And I like a lot of things, but when it comes to me investing in something, it needs to be safe for my family, and it needs to be safe for me to recommend it to my peers and my friends. It needs to have everything that Richard Hart taught us about true decentralization, robustness, censorship resistance, not your keys, not your coins. Don't chase pennies in front of freight chains, all those different type of concepts, right? This system is audited, it's renounced, it's immutable, it's unruggable. All the liquidity is protocol owned, and it cannot be pulled out from underneath anybody. These are all just the fundamentals. You never give away your keys. You always have 100% of, you always keep your keys, which is super important. And then when it gets to the mechanics, the token mechanics, have you ever been introduced to a cryptocurrency that generates revenue like an S&P 500 company and then hands all of the revenue back to the token holders? Have you ever seen a hyper-deflationary cryptocurrency that's been deployed on one of the most decentralized blockchains in the world by one of the best guys to do it in the world, who has all the resources available to him in the world, 100% uptime, so you're not on some shit, centralized blockchain where you'd never in a million years burn millions and millions and millions of dollars and throw away the key into a DEX because you couldn't trust it, right? So this system is a true cryptocurrency. It's a true first of its kind, first in class, revenue generating, volume and volatility based cryptocurrency. It is not something that pays you out. Now one of the things that's so amazing about it is that you can earn passive income with it, but it's not coming from inflation, which is downward pressure on price. It's coming from true activity on chain and interaction with the actual cryptocurrency itself. And secondarily, it's coming. It's because as liquidity pairings, when ETH goes down, it does shifts. When PulseChain goes down, it
We lose you?
I lost him also.
You too.
He was on a roll.
Yeah, he named a lot more than 3 things.
I think he got sucked up by the aliens.
I know. Hexbug, I hope that answered a little bit of your question, man. But
it answered a lot. I've really appreciated listening to Mando over the years. When he goes off on one like that, it's always great. But I should probably do a bit of a deeper dive. But like I said, I'm very happy to be.
totally, man. Hey, are you in the Telegram? Are you in the Telegram right now?
No.
Jump in, man. There's a lot of really cool people who would be more than happy to answer questions, man, for sure.
Yeah, I got rugged, man. I got rugged. Let me just finish, man. Go
for it, bro. Go for it.
Okay. So the biggest thing, man, is this. You want it to be something that is safe. You want it to be something that is real. You want real value backing it. You don't want fake value backing it, where somebody is showing you fake charts and fake amounts of volume and fake everything in order to get you into the thing. This thing has nothing but transparency, nothing but benevolence. And I just want you, this is the interesting thing, man. It is a hyper deflationary revenue generating cryptocurrency. It is a hyper deflationary revenue generating cryptocurrency. And what that means is that as this system grows and as the price of the token continues to go up and the price floor continues to go up and the liquidity web in USD value continues to rise, more volume continues to come in, more revenue continues to generate more PulseChain, which means millions of dollars is going to be forced to continually fit into less and less token supply. And that is why you see the chart constantly up and to the right, because the system cannot stop generating revenue, and that revenue has to fit into pTGC tokens every day, every week, every month, and every year. So unless you have somebody that has enough tokens to push it down into the chart, the price is just going to keep doing what it's doing, guys. This isn't the normal pump and dump, gigafest, gigasale, giga-chad language BS. This is something new. This is something very real. And we've been trying to tell everybody that from day one. We've been sincerely trying to share this with people and literally setting the table, showing them every single burn, every single LP ad. We just added LP for $80,000 and gave it to the holders. The next day, here's $100,000 to the holders of PulseChain. Here's $100,000 of Hex. Here's $100,000 of Ink. Here's every freaking day. And you're burning the keys. And these people are saying, oh, you're a scammer, Mando. You're a scammer. What more can a fucking cryptocurrency do? Please come up and tell me. Please come up. Take the mic. Come up. What more does a protocol and a founder have to do to prove to you that it's legitimate, it's safe, it's real, and everything that is possibly done that with the tech available has been done to make something phenomenal for you to take a look at? That's what this is.
Bro, I could not agree more. Keep going.
Yeah, I'm just saying. So unless you have something legitimate to say, take your negativity and shove it up your ass at this point. And that's just where I'm at. Because so many amazing people, just look at the people. Look at the amazing people that are in the community, right? These are smart people. You got some of the smartest people on pretty much all the smartest people I know on PulseChain are with pTGC. Seriously, the smartest people I know, not people who got lucky one-hit wonder with Hex and made money, but maybe don't know much about crypto or some other things. And I'm not saying that against people that came in early with Richard, but these individuals are the ones who've been saying a lot of bad stuff, when in reality, this protocol is the biggest maxi of Richard Hart tickers on this blockchain. pTGC buys and burns into its LP more RH tickers than any entity, any organization, any individual investor on PulseChain. And it does it every freaking week. And it's literally handing hundreds of thousands of dollars a week, millions of dollars a year to the token holders. And that income, that revenue has to fit in less and less tokens every day. I'm sorry. I've had a 8-month come to me across your desk with something better challenge. And you guys all know it in the chat. I've literally said, anything you've got that's good, bring it to us. Why? Because we would like to take a look at it. We'd like to do a market analysis on it. Maybe we want to buy it so that we can expose it to the token holders, right? Maybe the DAO wants to vote on buying up some most when Richard launches pump.tires and starts promoting a meme coin that damn near went to $100 million market cap in 2 days. there's even people that question that. So no matter what you do in this industry, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. But you have to be the one that's smart enough to do your own research, to ask your own questions. But when you just sit in your little, your space with your little crew, and you're actually not coming in and just breaking bread and having a conversation, you could miss out an opportunity of a lifetime because you're being intellectually dead. And I just don't want people to do that, because I do believe that PulseChain represents an amazing opportunity. I think that you see Richard starting to wake up. I think that what we saw this week is something that shouldn't be taken lightly. And I think that people that don't stop to take a look at this right now before PulseChain revalues, if they call themselves crypto people, yeah, I would have to beg to differ with that. And that's all I have to say.
I couldn't agree more, man. That was absolutely, like, the biggest part of that is the whole revaluing thing. Like, people, myself included, I have been and I still am. That's the thing, is like, I still am. And I know, Gray, you would agree with me. Amanda, you would agree with me. Like, I still am the biggest Richard Hart maximalist you will ever freaking find. Like, I am so diehard to that.
Trevor, Zen and I talk about Richard every day. We love Richard. None of this is possible without Richard Hart.
Literally, dude. Literally. And I've been looking for a community like this that actually honors that respects that has the core values of that. But when this thing, like, when it revalues, dude, it's gonna be fantastic. It's gonna be incredible. And there's a lot of people that don't really understand exactly what has been created here. And I hope that my hope is in this cycle, people can, like, completely change their narrative and, like, reinvent their worldview. Because one thing as a Richard Hart, like, maximalist, one thing I'm open to is him changing. Most people are not open to that. They're a maximalist in the idea that they, like, follow him, they follow his ideals and these things, but they don't understand that, dude, times change. The man, Richard Hart, just shilled essentially pump fund. If you're listening to me right now, Richard Hart just essentially shilled, like, a new pump fund, okay? So you need to update your worldview. Get with the times. Mm-hmm. Things are changing, and which with PulseChain, the reason that I express that is because with PulseChain, man, with PulseChain specifically, I knew this was going to happen. You're going to have sub communities and these tokens that do amazing things. Some may outperform the cores, some may not. Whatever, it doesn't really fucking matter, man. We're out here trying to promote the greatest network of all time.
And Trev, here's the most important part, and the thing that intrigues me the most. And maybe Zen can speak on this, but I said it earlier. It's the word fundamentals. Because this has predominantly been 98.99% of meme coin cycle. The market tells you what the market wants. You don't get to tell the market what the market wants. The market tells you what the market wants.
Absolutely.
And if you're not going to serve the market, you're not going to make any money. And that's how it works in the real world. Now, in the meme coin space, it's all about, in quotes, narrative. What's the narrative? Are they going to build a statue of Trump? Are they going to, what's the freaking narrative that is it's here today, gone tomorrow narrative, and it's a pump and dump. And you might hit a SHIB, you might hit a Floki, you might hit a Doge, you might hit a whiff hat, and they actually stay up, but that's like 1 in 9 million, right? Okay. So if you're looking for something with actual fundamentals that just work and will just continue to work, and fundamentally as a product, as a financial product, actually does and mimics the legacy world on steroids, right? It is deflationary. That means that it's going up in value. That means that you're not being deflated. That means that you can buy food for your kids because the dollar you're earning is getting obliterated due to inflation in these fiat currencies around the world, right? It's deflationary. It's revenue generating. It's scarce, right? It's all of the things that fundamentally you want in a sound money, like gold.
Exactly.
Right? Okay, but it's revenue. It's a revenue generating system. Now, I think this is a good thing to stop on, Zen, because the amount of pulse that's being generated by this system right now, some of you may think it's a lot, but in reality, it's not. Like, for example, the Dow voted to pair pTGC with most. I thought it was a pretty good move. In one day, it's become, I think, the fourth or fifth best pair and generated almost $70,000 in volume today. That means that you guys all got paid from that $70,000 of volume. That means that your tokens became more rare against the underlying liquidity value, right? But this doesn't stop. But if you think that looking at the Dow, how much available pulse is in the Dow, and you see $1.5 billion in there in a day, what do you think will happen? And this nothing we say is advice. You could lose all your money in all of these things. And we talk about this stuff openly. Everyone here knows what these experiments are, right? But if PulseChain becomes successful and this liquidity web revalues to the numbers where you all can run your own numbers, the revenue exponentially explodes. But you still have to fit it in the same 294 billion coins. But in reality, there's only 4.6 billion coins left in the pools.
Exactly.
There's only one place the price can go. Unless someone is going to go, give me $1 million out of the pool and give everybody a 40-50% dip that gets bought back up real quick. You know, that's why the price, when you look at the weekly and the monthly, is doing what it's doing, guys. And it's actually basic 5th grade math. So it's very exciting because the amount of volume that could potentially come to this chain and the revaluation of this liquidity web could be astronomical and change a lot of people's lives. But if you're in before Richard's chain, let's say it goes from where it is now to maybe, let's just say it goes back to the all-time highs of like 3 zeros and a 3, maybe 3 zeros and a 5. People who get in now potentially are locking themselves into just an amazing amount of capital, liquidity efficiency. So whatever you have to do, I'm getting DM'd a ton right now. I'm getting DM'd right now as we speak. I'm being DM'd every day. People are wanting to learn, and that's the right spirit. You have to want to learn, right? Because this system is not just a system where you just launched a PRC20 token and paired it with a 2 million pulse chain and let it go. It's not that. It's much more intricate than that, and that's actually one of the reasons why people are put off a little bit. Not put off in a negative way, but it's like their eyes kind of glaze over because they're listening to Prairie, who's like a brainiac over here, running all these numbers and talking about all these different things. And yes, it could be a little bit confusing, but everything in life that's worth anything takes time to learn it. It doesn't matter what it is, whatever trade you're in, whatever job you do, whatever thing you want to be amazing at, whatever thing you think might benefit your family, you have to take time to learn it. And that's this system. This system, you have to take time to learn it. But once you learn it, guys, I promise, you become smarter throughout all of crypto, because this system forces you to learn every category that matters. There's a lot of categories that don't matter, but when you're here, when you take part in the pTGC ecosystem, you're forced to scale up your categorical learning on the things that actually are the fundamentals, the creeds of crypto is what I call them. They're the creeds, right? And a lot of people don't know the creeds. So because you're not so familiar with the truth that, when a counterfeit looms on the horizon, you spot it instantaneously. You need to know the truth. If you don't know the truth about how things work, you'll believe anything, right? So we have an amazing community here. If you want to participate, it's great. If you don't. But the days of, calling this thing a scam, or you're shilling a scam, those days are over, guys. Those days are over. And we're in the chat every day. We host these things every week. And we do it for you guys. So thanks for listening to my diatribe there. But sometimes, man, I think tonight was a good night. We're almost at an all-time high.
Totally, man.
We're watching Richard do what he's doing. It's obviously a shift. It's a paradigm shift for Richard. It's a paradigm shift on PulseChain. Jesus said, know the signs of the times. Know the signs of the times. If you cannot recognize the signs of the times, it's just going to pass you by.
Exactly. And for those that don't know, Mando specifically has been kind of spearheading a lot of this. So if you do have questions, I hate to put you on blast here, dude, but I gotta be honest. My all of my questions, I had so many of them, and he was very patient with me, and that lasted weeks. For those that are listening, and I see a lot of icons here that know that I've been a pretty heavy maxi, so reach out to Mando, reach out. There's a lot of people that really want to talk about this thing. This is not some bullshit coin. This is the real deal, man. And I would hope that, and it's cool. Also, I'll say this. I scroll through, I'm on my phone, little iPhone or whatever. And I'm looking through and I see so many people that I've interacted with, and that, I don't know, on face value, I would consider, pretty wise investors. And it's really cool seeing them on here, which confirms my assumption. We are early. We are early. This is a very, very special thing. It's very special. Hold on to it. You're early, So, but if you do have questions, man, reach out to Prairie, Mando, Gray, all these guys, man. They're really good people. They're really good people. And I tread lightly in this space. Mando can attest to that. I tread very lightly. I've had nothing but amazing, and yes, we're up, right? Duh, no shit. But when it comes to etiquette, clarification, education, tokenomics, questions, even doubt, these guys have been very, very clear with me. So if you're listening, please reach out, man. This is something cool. It's grassroots. And I think we're gonna build the shit out of this thing, So
yeah, I've been holding it for a year. I do know this is real crypto.
It is. That hold on, Mando. That little the phrase he just said. Did you hear him? He said this is real crypto, dude. I'll tell you right now. Cryptographer. I'll tell you right now, man. I've been around a little bit, right? I'm not. You can go through my tweets and see my shit. I'm not some multi-cycle OG or some shit. shit. You know, like that's no. I got lucky. I'm an honest dude. Dude, this is fucking real crypto. This is real crypto. This is why I got into crypto. This is what, you know, and I love Hex. Don't get me wrong, boys. I own Hex. I own the cores. All right. Like, I also own pTGC. And like, dude, if you love crypto, if you love DeFi, check out TGC, like, for real. I love that statement you just made. That rang true with me, man, for real.
Appreciate it. I mean, I'm a stranger in this group, but I've been in these chats for quite some time now. The narrative's the same. With PulseChain, pTGC, Richard Hart, you know, trying to make us all free thinkers and rich. Wants us all to be free. We know we deserve better.
And I think to that point, you know, the free thinker, we're all going to be free. We're all going to be rich. We're all going to be financially this, that, and the other. I think a lot of it kind of, you know, myself included, we were thinking it was like 3 coins that were going to do that. But Richard's smarter than that, man. He's smarter than that. He knows what he's doing. He built what arguably we hope to be is one of the greatest blockchains of all time. And you're going to have these small communities like this. You know, I think that's kind of the next thing is you have these communities that believe in tokens, that are full of conviction and build an incredible foundation, you know. And TGC is just one of them, man. There's probably going to be more. But you know, for me, this is one that's very special to me. You know, I'm glad you're here, man.
No, appreciate it. It took me a while to get through all the FUD, the fake cryptos, a lot of influencers that kind of just, you know, just like brushed through me and then just served me wrong. And I'm like, hey, man, I can just sense by the vibe that this is all bullshit. And then all of a sudden I found the community here and then found pTGC a little over a year ago, and just, oh my goodness, it's amazing to see how many.
I love that, dude. That makes me really, really happy, man. And that was one of the points I brought up whenever I even was learning about pTGC was just, you know, different. You know, I had a lot of questions. I had a whole lot of questions, dude. This last cycle in 2020, 2021, I was a part of a couple of communities. I've talked about this publicly a little bit. I'm not going to talk about the tokens because they don't matter. But I was a part of those communities and I was very loud. And I'm kind of that guy, like, personally, that I'll like, I look for a club, you know. I look for a group of men that are beside me, we're going towards the same thing. And last cycle, I thought I had that, and it went to 0, and I lost a lot of money, dude, a lot. And you know, this cycle, like I'm telling you, that's actually what made me gravitate towards Hex. Because I trusted Richard, I trusted, you know, everything that he talked about, etc. And now I'm naturally gravitating towards TGC. You know, so dude, you're doing the right thing, man. In my opinion, doing the right thing, man. And you're around a lot of really good people, not just anon cartoon characters that are, you know, gonna leave you. So that's all I got.
Zen, it's getting to be that hour. Wanted to check in with you. I know you got the kiddo. Are you good?
Yeah, I would like to wrap it up here pretty soon, but you guys were flowing pretty well. So I was kind of just letting it go. I brought up Hex, something I assume he had a question. I also wanted to give my little input real quick on what Hexbug asked. I only have one really main one that I wanted to bring up, and you kind of already went over it, Mando, but I kind of wanted to share my side of the story of it, just because I feel like it's a decent story. And I think it kind of relates to what's going on PulseChain right now with the pump tire thing. So I could do that first, or if Hex, I can't see the rest of your name. If you want to ask your question real quick, that's cool, and then I can go. Or
Yeah, quickly to add on to most, is it possible we can get a proposal to send some pTGC to Mars? Thanks.
I would say it's definitely not out of the question. I haven't looked into that one so much. I kind of went over this earlier in the stream, but I'll go through it real quick again. The big reason why we picked most for that proposal was due to the fact that RH tweeted about it twice at that point. Now I think it's 3 times. The fact that the owner or the dev had 80% of the supply and seems pretty benevolent with it, like isn't moving it at all. The fact that it was the first one, it was like automatically populated it on Dex screener, like right at launch. The fact that a lot of other people gravitated to that one and they already had a community built behind it. But 100%, that doesn't mean any other tickers are out of the question. We just need to kind of go through a vetting process before we make any decisions. So if you have any like interesting information, please send it over, because if there's any interesting information that's cutting edge, we want to know it, right?
Yeah, for sure. Because I seen like the banner had like the pTGC and the alien tickers all in the deck screener. But I know you guys made the banner.
No, we weren't the ones that made it out of like these specific guys. I saw that too, and then someone brought that up as well. I think Goo is gonna hit the concrete a little bit and see if we can find out if someone just paid to have all that there. Obviously, just to show respect to some of the main tickers on PulseChain, or if no one takes ownership of it. I think the assumption is that the team of Pump.Tires put that there, but that's kind of what we're trying to figure out, right? It's bullish if it's not just one of us just using it as a marketing platform, right?
Yeah, at the end of the day, man, at the end of the day, when you're talking about deploying capital, right, it can't just be because somebody put up a picture or somebody did. It can't be because of those general lamestream, no back to it narratives, right? pTGC is a blue chip. So the DAO really just tries to be patient and only deploy things into things that have a massive reason to be deployed into. You know, obviously was a ton of things that just got deployed that you could just ask about and somebody could put a picture up or something like that, right? So it has to be a plus type of a thing when you're vetting these things, because you know you don't want to deploy it into trash, man.
Because then it becomes a boat anchor.
Yeah, and not saying it's trash or anything. We just kind of need to gather a little bit more information on that one.
Yeah, because I seen it was the same address as the pump in most that made it.
Yeah, it's from that same developer. So I agree with you there. I think it's kind of all those are on our list of like, let's see if we can figure out why these ones are also have reasons to survive, right? Because we don't want to spread the funds out to quantity. We want to spread it out to quantity is I think the main goal.
Yeah, because the deck screener banner was paid for by somebody we don't know, right? It wasn't you guys, and it could just been anyone. But regardless, the logos are all there, right? That was the only thing.
Yeah. There's no saying who put it. The reason why most was a little strange is it was up right at launch, right? And that was the only one that was up right at launch. Obviously, a few other things like the fact that RH was tweeting about that specific one. I like the fact that 80% of the supply is in the devs' hands ultimately. So, but yeah, that doesn't mean that it's not a good one. It just means we're trying to find which ones are going to be the best ones, right? Because we want to be in quality, not quantity. So yeah, if you have any, like, if you're kind of going down that rabbit hole, we're just a few people, so if anyone in our community has any additional information that can help delegate funds in the best direction, like, we're open ears, definitely.
The best ones got our logo, bro.
Yeah, if we got a quick second, but yeah, it is getting pretty late for me. But I do want to say my answer to Hexbugs, I think he's even gone now, but for everyone else.
What was his question? Just for the audience?
Yeah, the question, I don't remember the exact wordage of the question, but it was for pretty much me or Mando or just whoever, which 3 key features stand out the most to you with pTGC? I'm just going to list one just because this one really, really stands out to me, and it's actually somewhat related to what's going on with PulseChain right now and this pump.tires. And this goes back to my multiple years of the design of pTGC, right? Is I was studying so many different things as far as like in real life assets, traditional finance, crypto, stocks, like you could literally name it. I was studying what gives this value, what does scarcity do, like basic economics, supply, demand, every RH video you could ever imagine. I was going through years of this process. And even RH talks about that the numbers, the accounting is actually very, very simple to do. With supply, you could reduce it, makes it more scarce, which makes it more valuable. Like this is one of the main things that gave value to things for the last thousands of years, right? Scarcity usually gave things value. Look at gold. People would kill people over gold back in the day. Why? Because it was scarce and it was worth something. Well, we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just putting air and rubber around it. We just live in a different time, a different age. So we can look at all these things and just kind of work them a little bit to make them better products. I always like the example of taxis to Uber, right? Just a simple app that just changed the game completely, pretty much made taxis irrelevant. But the thing was demand. And look at where we're here on PulseChain for the last year and a half, struggling to get demand, struggling. And what does RH do? He puts, or supposedly do, we don't know it's exactly him, but he puts pump.tires on here. Why? To get the chain moving. Why? To get demand on chain. Why? To buy and burn PLS, to buy and burn PulseX, because there was no demand. We needed demand to come to PulseChain. The accounting is easy, but the demand on chain is the part that everyone drops the ball on. If you don't have demand, it doesn't matter how good your tokenomics are or your mechanics are or your supply reducing or LP ads, etc. If there's no demand and there's no users trading it, which is then in this system generate revenue, you have ultimately nothing, and it usually dies. 99% of them die. So when I was kind of developing, I was checking every single box, but the thing I ran into was that demand item. With a system that operates off of volume as its external revenue generating force, demand is like crucial. And in all of tokens, non-fiat transactions, fiat transaction tokens, this is where everything dies, right? The demand dies. There was a point when I figured out how to control the demand and make it mechanically driven instead of just emotionally driven by humans or advertisement driven or conversational driven. Just it took different types of effort to get the demand. When I figured out how to mechanically drive the demand. And then that equaled forcibly buying up the chart or adding LP or paying APY. When I came across that idea, chills went down my whole entire body. Because you have to kind of go back in time and realize I've spent the last 2 years of my life, every second of the day, like obsessing about this idea of the end-all be-all asset. And I knew there was one piece of this puzzle missing. And I had every box checked. And literally, there's plenty of successful products out there that do operate with 99% of the boxes checked. But I felt like this was that one box out of the 99 boxes that I was just like, I can't solve this. Other people can't solve this. RH is on stream talking about how he can't solve this. And then I solved it. And it just literally put chills down my... It gives me chills thinking about it, because you can see RH is doing this right now on his chain. Our chain was lacking demand, so he had to put things in there to increase demand again, because this is very, very hard to control. And when we found out, or when I found out, or when we figured out this idea of how to mechanically drive demand, I knew that was the most important piece to this ecosystem. And it's shown to be so powerful. And it's what, in my opinion, 99.9% of not only cryptocurrencies, but any business or any product is missing, is constant demand. If you have any product in the world, you could be selling toaster ovens. If you don't have demand for the toaster ovens, you don't have a business. So this was so key. And the fact that we can turn that demand into a value generating system. So it's not demand only of people buying the system. It's actually generating value off of that demand that will never leave the system again. And it's coming from an external force. That's one of the most important pieces of this system. And that's kind of just the story of like how I felt when we figured that whole idea out. And you can see even the biggest of systems still struggle with that idea. Like with RH trying to use this pump dot. And this isn't a negative thing. He's smart. He knows we need demand. So he's putting the product in place to drive demand. And that demand, just like our demand, is buying and burning the supply, making it more scarce and pushing the price up. This is the same exact idea that we're operating off of. The reason why we are able to do it in a little bit easier of a fashion is because we're so small. It's a lot harder of a task for RH because he has to push way more demand than us, because he has to lift every ship on this blockchain. He has thousands and thousands and thousands of people who hold PulseChain. Like, again, we only have 2,000 people that own $1,000 worth or more of pTGC. So the amount of demand we need to actually send our system to crazy levels is just a lot less. So we have a lot less of a mountain to climb than RH. And that's, I'm just super stoked to be built on top of RH's products, because we can see firsthand in the last couple of days, he has been doing actions to push this demand and not make this demand like just by him pushing funds in via sacrifice funds. He's actually creating demand that is constant. He's creating ways to where this demand won't stop. Because the sacrifice funds would be nice, but when it's gone, right? Like what? That's like if we just pushed $1 million in and then into our system, and then let's say a couple users sold out. Well, then we're just back into spot number one. But by him creating this product that now drives demand, it's now constant. Tomorrow there's more demand. There's more buy and burns. There's more buy and burns. There's more buy. It's just back to the idea of where we talk about we have a God whale built into our system. It buys and burns every day, every day. Well, now RH is putting those same systems into the blockchain. And I know that kind of went a little bit longer, but just on that, the mechanically driven demand is what I believe one of the special features about our system.
Anybody name me one meme coin that is going to go all out like PGC? Not one. And this is the most transparent you'll get with a coin like this on PulseChain. Yeah, I would just, there's a caveat to the whole, in quotes, meme coin dev thing. This ain't no damn meme coin, man.
Bro, okay, now you're getting on
this
subject
is
I'm really
a
passionate
phenomenal.
about.
This is a cryptocurrency next generation level with a Gray's alien as a mascot, the same way that Geico has a gecko for car insurance.
That is exactly right. And that is Gray, Mando, a few other people can attest to that. For those that don't know, I'm in real life. I'm in the branding world. I own a business, etc. That's what I do, right? And dude, I'm telling you, man, to call TGC a meme coin, dude, it's really difficult for me. It's really difficult. This is not a meme coin. This is something that is going to stand the test of time, and it's been built by really good, convicted, honest people, and I think that it's going to do amazing things. So that is like
You're the top. You're shilling the top, Trevor. You're shilling. Shilling the top, you shiller.
That's one of the things that drives me insane, quite frankly, is the meme coin. Like, and don't get me wrong, like this cycle is clearly, all about meme coins.
Well, Trevor, cool. That's what a lot of people don't realize is that was on purposely put there, right? The fact that we have a fun mascot makes it so we can actually dabble in both industries. We can actually cater to the people who care more for a meme coin due to us being in a meme coin cycle. And then we can also cater to the people that actually are in it for the tech. It just gives it so we can flow fluidly in between both markets and remain relevant in both. Like, why would you want to be in just one if you could be in two? You just
totally, man. I think you guys
your amount of customer base.
You guys have done an incredible job. It's just one of those things. Like I recently met with a friend who is a wealth advisor here in the city that I currently reside in, and I was talking to him, and he's in Pulse, like the cores or whatever, and was asking me some questions, and then he said, "Oh, TGC, I've seen a little bit on my X feed. Is that like a meme coin?" And honestly, like this was like my first experience with it. I was like, "No, man, it's not a meme coin, dude. Like this is something heavy. It's serious. Like." And it was cool, man. So, but no, I love the branding. I love that, Gray, you're right, dude. You have to have that 50-50 balance, to attract people with the branding, but at the same time, like introduce to them the I hate to say even tokenomics, because that sounds weird, but just the kind of the mechanics behind everything, But no, it's definitely not a meme coin to me. Like, I don't, meme coins to me. I'm a day 3 SHIB guy. I went crazy on SHIB, and it sounds ridiculous, but I dipped out early. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. But I the meme coin thing last cycle, I was actually kind of intrigued with it, and then this cycle, I just not really been my thing. So for me to be in TGC, dude, is a testament to the mechanics, the motor, the engine, man. So it's the meme topic is like almost an avenue it's a conversation starter. But when people start to realize what this thing is and the power that it has behind it, it becomes so much more. That's my honest opinion. So, yeah.
You know what this is, bro? This is meme-fi. Before anybody came up with the term meme-fi or anything like that, this was already it. We were already doing it.
Couldn't agree more, man. Totally.
Yeah, and in my defense, like, it's hard to throw this in other people's bags because they just think it's a meme, and I'm like, no, y'all are disrespecting this coin, man. This is a coin with freaking brains. a utility backing it. I was like, you literally just got to show it in your wallet, and you can build a PTGC.
Totally, man. But remember, just like Richard says, dude, you know, green candles usually make everybody kind of, it attracts everybody. So, and you know, so we just got to do our thing. You know, I love this token, dude. I'm a proud holder, and I think that you know, I'm gonna keep talking about it. And regardless of Richard, regardless of Maxis and all that kind of stuff, I'm going to keep talking about it. I'm very convicted over this token. I'm convicted over the people that founded it, and I think it's a really great asset for me. And if you think that for you, then you can make that decision. So, you know, but I think it's awesome. Yeah. So.
All right, I'm gonna have to shut it down, guys.
Sounds good, man. This has been awesome. Thank you, Gray. Thank you.
If I go much longer, I'm gonna have to ask one of you guys if I can move in. My wife will kick me out.
No, that's not happening. So you got to get off and go spend time with the lady, man. Get out of here. So, guys, thank you so much for coming in and for getting educated, learning about the protocol, learning about DeFi, learning about PulseChain. You know, if you've got any questions at all, if you need anything at all, just come into the TG. We've got amazing, you know, moderators in there that are super qualified to help. And, you know, just get in the DMs, ask the questions. You know, you can always hit me up. And, yeah, let's just keep on moving forward. It looks like there's a new shift happening right now, and take the timing on everything seriously.
No doubt, man. Mando, thanks for all you do. Guys, cheers. I'm out of here.
Yep. See you guys later.
See y'all.
See you guys. Thanks for coming on. Banana, thanks for co-hosting with me.
You're welcome. See you next time.
Thank you all.
All right, that's a wrap. I'm going to work. It's cold, 5 degrees outside. My truck's warming up. You saw me leave because I'm going to warm. Went to warm. I start my truck. So, got lots of cleaning up to do. Yeah. We'll be back on Spaces on Saturday. See y'all. Have a good week.